Coming to you from Blue Cruise Studio in Temecula, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show. Taking you inside the lives of the legends and leaders in moto and action sports. Today's guest is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha is the industry leader in two-wheeled fun and performance. Celebrating 50 years of YZ in 2024, the Blue Crew is still dominating shootouts and competitions. Yamaha, revs your heart. SKDA is the leader in motorcycle graphics. Driven by a combined passion for art and motorcycles, SKDA has become a global leader in the off-road motorcycle space. Their graphics can be spotted from a mile away with a unique design that blends speed and creativity. SKDA, search and supply of true art within moto. Troy Lee Designs, built for the world's fastest racers. TLD blends elite level protection with industry-leading style and performance. Moto, bike, helmet paint, casual wear, whatever your passion, Troy Lee Designs is waiting for you on the next level. Nihilo Concepts. Enhance your riding experience with superior products like the start-stop conversion kit, fuel petcocks, frame grip tape, lever grip donuts, secondary on switch, billet foot pegs, billet throttle housings, and so much more. Nihilo Concepts produces exceptional products, all of which are made right here in America. Thanks for joining us here at the Whiskey Throttle Show in Blue Cruise Studios. I'm your host, David Pingree, and special guest today, man. Honored to have this guy in here. 12-time X Games medalist. Just one of the baddest freeride and FMX dudes in the business these days. Colby Raha, welcome to the show, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I'm pumped to get you here. We shot some stuff with you recently for our media company, a feature called Hang Time, and just got to see kind of your pad up there in Colton and like what you're working on up in the desert. And man, I'm just stoked on your vibe. You're just very much yourself, and authenticity is really hard to come by these days.
Right on. Thank you.
We'll talk a little bit more about that, because I know, like in your world, you guys have to kind of play up, Brian Deegan playing the Metal Militia General, and like there's some acting that goes into it, and like
entertainment
a little bit, right? Yeah. And it's always just for me a little tough sometimes to take. I'm kind of like rolling my eyes at it.
Yep.
You just always seem like you're just yourself. Like you are who you are, and that is your character. And I think that's badass. Like Pastrana.
Thank you.
Some people think he was trying to be like this goofy, happy dude. That's just who he was, right? Yep. Like I just think that resonates, at least with me. So anyway,
I grew up watching all those guys my whole life. So everyone's like, "Oh, you're so old school." It's like that's what I would think it would have been, and that's what I grew up doing. So it's like I'm just doing what I grew up watching.
Oh, you're a little bit older too, right? 28?
I'm 29.
29, okay. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? If you're, I don't know, let's just say 20-year-olds are a whole different world.
Yeah. Younger 20s is a little bit more wild,
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we start all our shows with the Nihilo Concepts front-end chatter segment, and those folks that watch the show regularly, you know what this is about. Check out Nihilo Concepts, all kinds of great products for your bike. How's the body, dude? I want to ask you about this, because you had a shoulder injury that was like pretty lingering for a while.
Yep.
Took a long time to heal once you did it, and then your knee. Then you screwed something up in your knee, huh?
Yeah. So every step of the way, ever since I got like my first X Games invite, or before that, it's just been running and gunning, like no stopping. If I get an injury, it's like, how do I milk this or just Band-Aid it to get through the next contest? And it's like every year before X Games, I've gotten hurt. And like the first year, I broke a vertebrae in my back because I crashed out at Paula on their little quarter setup out there. And then it was like milking it through, like didn't practice. The next year I ended up going down, chopping the top of my finger off. And it's like I've never had time to really heal my body up. And then my left shoulder's dislocated a ton growing up racing moto. And as like an adult, still dislocating. And then my right shoulder started dislocating. And that one got so shredded in the crash in my movie Narnia that I just had to stop, because it was dislocating constantly before X Games last year. So I went and got it fixed by Dr. Greenbaum and Dr. Feelgood. Steve Navarro lined me up and got me dialed in. So I got my shoulder fixed after X Games last year, and I didn't ride for 6 or 7 months. I had my son, me and my wife had my son in Hawaii. We chose to do it out there because her mom's out there. And I had to recover from surgery. So pretty much the whole season. But now, as of now, I'm healthy. My body's good, and I'm excited to get the ball rolling going into fall. And just all of winter, I can't wait to start uploading YouTube content and riding and getting flips again and getting my tricks going, and going for breaking the overall quarter pipe world record in November at Raha Fest at my property. That'll be live. So things like that, man. I'm excited.
Sick. How's the finger? Still gone?
No, it grew back. Like when it when it chopped off the
Did it
nail.
really?
Yeah, there was no nail. It was just a skin. Like it looked like a chopped off finger would. It was just the top of it, pretty much. But the nail grew back. And
It
it's all
did?
good,
Let me
yeah.
see that thing.
So you can see it's shorter than the other one. I basically was flipping.
How the hell did the nail grow back? That's wild.
I don't know, but
Magic.
I was flipping in Bakersfield and I landed it perfect, but knifed the front end. It was like a rock on the landing or a rain rut or something. Dry as a bone out there in the summer. And then I crashed, and I think there was like someone buried a refrigerator or washer machine in the landing, or there was a broken glass bottle. I didn't really check the landing out too much. I was just riding. And when I went down, I got up and my finger was like hacked off. So that was the end of me filming for Real Moto that season. I was like, all right, cool. And then that was 6 weeks before X Games, so just taped it up, didn't really ride. It's always something, you know?
It's
just dirt bikes.
It's dirt bikes,
Yeah.
right? It's coming.
That's how it goes.
And tell me a little bit more about Rahaville. I find it funny because we have a fire station in Hellendale.
Yep.
Most people don't know where the hell it is
Yep.
or what it is.
We're
and
like 4 miles from that, so close by. One time a dude wrecked out there real bad. He was unconscious, and I called the fire department. Well, I called 911, and I think I told them the fire department, so they sent someone out, and they were there in like 7 minutes. Like they just geared up and pinned it. And it's actually pronounced, everyone calls it Rahaville, but I call it Rawville.
Oh, Rawville. Okay.
It just flows, and I called it that. Once you name something, you can't really change it. So it's just Rawville, and I like it. It sounds cool. But that is just a piece of land that I bought back in the day, and I always planned to just...
Why there? Just because it's...
random. Like, I was looking on Craigslist for land, and there was some land in Beaumont. It was like $80,000. And I wanted that, but I didn't have the money, you know. So I found land up there. It was like $1,000 an acre, and I was like, there was a 10-acre lot, and it basically just worked out because I looked at the area, and it was kind of close to Vegas, close to Bakersfield, but 2 hours from LA and an hour from Glen Helen. You know, like 45, 50 minutes from Glen Helen north, right by Racetown, Comp Edge, and I'm like, I grew up in Palmdale, which is an hour to the west, and I'm like, dude, I rode Comp Edge and Racetown all the time, and I'm like, right there, I know it's good. And then Alessi has all his stuff out there, which now Carson Mumford owns, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just buy it, and you know, worst case if I don't build, I'll sell it later. But I was like, let's just get this land, and then, you know, later on figure it out. And then finally, year after year, I've been riding at Metal Militia, built my quarter pipe there. And I bought a house in Colton's, an hour from Rawville. So I'm like, you know what? I broke my back in Narnia when I cased this distance jump at the end of the movie, and broke my pelvis, and I was laid up for like 7 months in a wheelchair and crutches. And I was wheelchair. Then after that, it was crutches. But I'm like, what can I do? I was going stir crazy. I'm like, what can I do? And I had all this money in my account at the time. So I was like,
got to spend that.
I was like, you know what? It's time. I'm going out there because I can operate equipment. I can't walk, but I'll just hobble up into the excavator. And I had done equipment. I built a bunch of jumps for Narnia throughout the movie, if you watch it. And I kind of learned how to do the excavator and how much dirt you can move with a big excavator. Mm-hmm. So I made some calls. I got a 320X out there with a 5-foot bucket and then a D6 dozer. And I started digging holes and piling up the hugest piles. Like, the landings out there are so massive. Like, it's unbelievable how much dirt I moved. And that was in 1 week, and graded it, and then waited for the rain, went back, shaped it up. And then Rockstar, once, you know, build it and they'll come. But like, once I built it, I was like, hey, Rockstar, like, let's do this. You know, it's already done. Let's just throw a few ramps here and there, build the quarter pipe landing, and we're on. And then they came in and they were like, yeah, we want to be a part of it. So once I moved, it's like $100,000 worth of equipment by the end, because I needed to bring back another dozer, water truck, skid steers. Jeez. Anyways, so
probably paid more than you did for the property, huh?
Dude, the property was like $10,000. You know, $1,000 an acre. So,
jeez.
Anyways, no, it's insane. But you need a place to practice, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted my own place because I wanted to do my own things, and now it's showing why. You know, that place is unreal. It's like the shark fin, the camper, the spine, the biggest quarter pipe in the world right now. It's a perfect place for me to practice. And now I'm opening up the gates to let people come in and watch me practice. You know, Mike Metzger was out there on the Whiskey Throttle 450 you guys hooked him up with. And we were doing a show, me, Jason Broski, and Mike Metzger. We just rode the quarter pipe. It was like a week or two before X Games. I barely promoted it, and like 400 people showed up and watched.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was awesome, you know, and I barely promoted it. So the next one, now I know I need a little bit more, you know, people working there, security stuff, and a couple food trucks, and bring in 1,000 people next time, you know.
Well, you have to let me know. We'll get the fire truck over there.
Yeah.
The engine would, I'm sure, be stoked to sit there and hang out and watch, and then you have EMS on staff.
Yep, that's rad. You're a firefighter, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I said, I've worked some shifts out there. That's obviously a pretty far station out, but I was just like, man, who lives way out here?
Yeah. No, it's
Colby.
weird, you know. Like, I haven't been to Temecula very often. I'm an hour and a half from here. So when I was driving in here, I'm like, man, it just seems far. But you just set up where you're at. I'm actually building a house up there now. So
are you on the lake, or is it out on your property?
on the water, on the water, on the lake.
Cool.
I bought a lot and then paid it off just actually 2 days ago. Handed him a cashier check for $45,000. I already put 30 down and got my excuse money. I'm like paid in full, and I pulled up. I was on the phone with the lender, so they're like, yeah, no problem. You know, we'll build you a house. You get approved because you use the land as your equity. Mm-hmm. And if you don't pay it, they take it. But you pay it, you get a house for whatever. You know, it's like $300,000 loan. So that's where I'll raise my son up there.
Dude,
we'll
you're dialed.
Get it going.
That's rad. All right, well, we'll get into some more of that because you got some other stuff out there, some classes and stuff you're doing. But I want to talk more about that. We got questions about that.
Cool.
Hey, go check out Whiskey Throttle Media, guys. All kinds of features over there, including Hang Time, which is our sort of free ride FMX feature. And our first episode was Colby. So check that out. It's pretty sweet. We got merch, off-road stuff, dual sport stuff. Check them out. His story is brought to you by Yamaha. Let's dive into it. Tell me where you grew up. You're a Lancaster guy or up Palmdale?
No, I grew up in Acton, you know.
Acton, okay.
And we rode LACR every weekend. And it's like we grew up riding.
Pull this up just a touch for me.
Yep, gotcha. We grew up, Bob Hanna is out in Acton.
Yeah, Bean Canyon, right? Did you ride there a lot?
Bean Canyon, I don't know. I can't remember. I rode behind. I rode out in Courts Hill, and then Acton. There's a bunch of corner tracks carved up in the hills, up at the top of Crown Valley. Okay. There was Pee Wee tracks, and people were into it, so they're building tracks like off Hubbard Road. There was a Supercross track. Damon Huffman lived in Acton.
Yeah, well, so did Mike Kudrowski.
Yeah.
There was actually a handful of guys that lived up there that rode a lot in that area. So
yep. So I grew up in Acton. My dad's from Chicago. He grew up racing BMX, wanted to ride moto, never got one. Moved to California because he was tired of freezing out there, and he wanted to be in the moto. Yeah. So he moved out here, met my mom, who's from Palmdale, and then they lived in Acton. That's where I grew up, and then I lived in Palmdale too for a bit, and then I went to Canyon High School in Canyon Country for my senior year, and then got into BMX later on, but. Growing up riding in Acton, that's why I want to build the house out on the lake out there, because you can ride out of the house. Michael Essie's got like 5 outdoor tracks just carved out there. You can kind of find on satellite. But I found them out there riding around. A bunch of everyone in the lake community, they come out to my classes. They hang out. Now they're my friends.
Oh, yeah?
So we go on group rides. We'll go out to Slash X, hit some tracks on the way. That bar, it's like a burger bar out there on the weekends. They have live bands, so we'll ride out there, hit some tracks, come back. And I'm just thinking, man, once my son's getting to grow up, we'll be able to just ride out of the house a PW. There's actually a Pee Wee track right at the end of my cul-de-sac. I'm on the water, but you drive away and it's like tracks over here, Leslie's, and then Rawville. So it's like dirt bikes are what we like to do, and that's a place we can actually really go out and shred.
Can you like wakeboard and stuff on that lake too?
No, there's no towing, but it is a lot of like bass fishing.
Okay.
There's like pontoon boats, people fish, and you can jump in the water, swim. Like I feel like it's like I call it Raha's retreat, because we go out there and we'll go get breakfast at the diner, ride to it, park our bikes outside, and then we'll go ride Rawville till it's hot out, and then we'll ride to the lake, jump in, wear our swim trunks under our pads, so we gear down right there under a tree, hop in the lake, jump on, go ride to Leslie's outdoor tracks or Mumford's outdoor tracks, and then we'll ride back, jump in the lake or whatever. And it's unreal. There's golf courses if you want to golf. So I'm like, man, this is going to be fun.
All right, I'm going to give you a little heads up.
I'm like
There-
not trying to sell everybody
there is-
on the spot.
No,
but
no.
That's what I'm up to.
So there is a little bit of a swinger community out there. Have you heard about this at all?
I've heard that. I kind of swerve on all that, so I don't have time for that drama. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm just giving you a heads
Hey,
up.
I'm Colby. How's it going? Yeah.
I think they had like
There's a show on it, huh?
well, yeah, because one of the guys was a fireman at my department,
Oh, okay.
and he got caught up in it, and
Someone got murdered or something.
yeah,
Like that?
yeah, dude, it was a fireman from another department.
Yep.
Got hugged up with his wife. Anyway, I don't want to get.
Something happened. I mean, I seen it on like one of those forensic files.
Yeah,
or
dude,
something,
no,
right?
it's legit because
Yeah.
one of the guys works at my department.
No, I mean we're all aware of the chaos and stuff that goes on in the high desert. You know what I mean? It's not Malibu or nothing. But that's it's dirt bikes and
no, that place sounds rad.
Where do
dude,
you
for
ride dirt bikes? It's close to like
Yeah.
the beach. You know what I mean? I don't know. It used to be San Clemente, but
Saddleback, if you can talk them
Fletcher's,
into that.
Yeah, so
That's long gone, bud.
that's what dirt bikes are all about. You get out of the city and you go shred, and that's unfortunately there's some chaotic shit that happens outside of in those zones.
So before you got into bikes, it sounds like it was pretty early. Did you play any other sports? Were you into any other things as a kid?
Soccer for like when I was 4, 5, 6, something like that. But then it was just all moto and BMX all the time on the side. If my dad was at work, I got home from work and I had a few hours to kill before it got dark. I was riding BMX every day in the backyard.
Yeah.
We had a big backyard in Acton, so shoveling jumps, riding, that's all I did. And that's like really all I was into is like read the Dave Mirra book for my autobiography, and then Matt Hoffman was next and McGrath's book was next. And then sports, I didn't even know what football was. I was like 14, my friends were like, let's play Madden. I'm like, what's a first down? What is a four? I don't understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was 14. Now I'm into it. I love sports. Like I watch everything. So UFC, I like soccer, football, basketball. I like sports. So
Yeah. That's
then
funny, though.
yeah.
You were so focused back then. It was just two wheels.
That's all it was. And it's funny because like when you're a moto, or I don't know if it's the same, but for everyone, but my dad had a lifted truck and we'd load up and then I'd sleep in the back seat or whatever. We'd show up to REM and, he'd be blasting Offspring, whatever was in the steel roots, it's
Yeah.
like, it's just moto. We get there, shred, race. I do well. And then we pin it home and listen to Megadeth and Symphony of Destruction the whole way, whatever. It's just, that's who I grew up. And then once like my parents split, the economy dropped and all that, and then I got into BMX and kind of started living with friends, I was like, whoa, like this is crazy because you're just so into moto. You don't really see anything outside of moto. It's like, when do you have a chance to take time off? You don't. It's always, this national, that, win these races, get the factory ride. And then finally it's like it all fell apart. And I'm like, whoa, I'm hanging out with like people who were riding BMX, traveling. I got on a pro BMX team and did that and worked construction. I worked at a sandwich shop before that. And then you're like, all right, cool. And now you really know you love moto because you get away from it.
Well, you had some perspective changes. I want to talk about it. We'll get to it. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got an older brother and an older sister.
All right. You close with them? You guys still?
Yep.
Are they out here?
My sister, yeah, actually, Braggs Designs her husband, and he does a lot of artwork for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So they have their shop over here. They live in Marietta. Now they're living in Hawaii. He still has his shop here, but yeah, we're all tight.
Sweet. So tell me about your first bike, Pee-wee. You had to be little.
PW.
Yeah.
I raced Loretta's when I was 5.
I saw that, dude. You went in 2000, 03, and 06.
Yep.
And like the first 2 years you were on Pee-wees, right? Like you were, or 60s maybe the second year.
It was a PW, and then I think I raced on a 7 to 8
Yeah.
KTM.
So Dad wasn't messing around. You were like 5, and he's like, "We're going."
No, dude, we weren't messing around. He never messes around. He just sent me his tournament for his golf the other day. He shoots a 2 under was the score. He's like a pro golfer all of a sudden. Like, I mean, he never golfed growing up, but now he's into it.
Yeah.
And I guess he golfs since like the last 10 years. But it's always real, on it. I won the California Gold Cup like 7 times, California State Championship. I always like top 5 at Nationals, Ponca, Mammoth is like thirds and stuff. But Nelson basically won everything. Jesse Nelson. Yeah. So.
That son of a bitch. So you guys, I mean, that kind of tells me a little bit of how your dad was. Just like, sounds like when he gets into something, he's in, right?
Yeah,
so that was how you guys were, and
Yep.
you're loving it as a kid.
Yep.
Who was some of your? Well, tell me about those Loretta's experience. I guess let's start there. Do you even remember the first couple years?
Yeah, I remember it. So I grew up racing LACR, out of Alonso over here, Racetown, and the dirt's just hard packed, DG, dry, flat
No
track,
mud.
no ruts.
No ruts, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No ruts. And you don't really realize that when you go out to Loretta Lynn's, it's like it's loamy, sandy, rutted, just totally different dirt.
It's like it might as well be riding on the moon.
It's just
it's
different.
so different. Yeah.
I explain it like you're hauling ass down a straightaway, and then there's a bunch of ruts, like a mud hole with ruts. And as a racer, like from here, you're like, whoa, you stop, hesitate, lean back, wheelie through. The kids that grow up there racing that dirt all the time, they don't even look at it. They just lean back, float the front through it because they do it every day.
Yeah.
But those add up milliseconds here and there, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't really like Loretta's. I did really well at World Mini. I did well at Ponca, was pretty cool, hard pack. There's some ruts, but we started practicing for ruts. Anyway, so that's, I mean, if my son wants to race, if he's into it, I know how to prepare him for that. If he wants to just ride ramps and have a good time, I know how to do that too.
You do know how to do that. Do you have fun memories of like hanging out at the creek, or just like, it's a pretty cool event with just all the stuff that's going on, never mind the racing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we would, like me and my brother would take off on bikes and go get in the creek and stuff. It was fun. We always had a blast. My mom made sure we had fun, you know. She was like, oh, we're going to Loretta's. We're stopping at our uncle's, and he lived in Nashville, her brother. And then we'd just stop along the way, KOAs and stuff. So.
Did you guys camp at the track?
Yeah.
Just sweating the whole time.
Yeah, oh, man. I mean, dude, like, it is fun. But then there's times I remember, like, we'd rather hang out in Walmart because there's AC. It was so hot out. You know?
Did it had to have rained on you too one day? Did you?
Poured, yeah. We parked out in where they park people in the swamps. Yeah.
Just water filling up your tent.
Yeah, I think everyone got stuck. Anyways.
Yeah, it can be gnarly, but it is like I tell people that are going, I'm like, look, you've done whatever work you've done.
Yeah.
So don't stress. Like, just go enjoy it, right? Like, try your hardest on the track, but don't put so much pressure on it, because you spend all that money, all that time, all that effort, and something goes wrong.
Yep.
You're going to ruin it. Like, it's going to be a terrible memory. Just go make good memories.
Your best bet is to just try to take off work and get out there and ride in the rain, in the mud, and learn the dirt, you know, for like a month or two, if you have that luxury.
If you can take 2 months off.
Yeah, if you can, but most likely nobody can.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I grew up in Arizona for the most part, so like, no mud. There's no such thing as mud.
You're flat tracking, dude. Like,
we are.
Yeah.
Who's kind of in your regular crew back then when you kind of first started racing? Like, what guy? You said Nelson was winning everything. Who are the other guys you were riding with a lot locally and stuff?
I'm trying to think if any of the names would have been known. I mean, Justin Hill, I remember hanging out with him a bunch when we were on 80s. I'd hang out. We'd get a stack of paper from his RV. We'd go in there. We'd make like 150 paper airplanes. And my dad drove for Tyler Evans in Supercross.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and that was Josh Hill's like rookie year. So I remember seeing Josh like getting ready, hanging out in the RV. His dad's playing Guitar Hero, trying to beat like Freebird on Expert. And the mom was so cool, and we would just make a bunch of airplanes and take them, because the stadium wasn't open Friday night, and he had his Heelys. We'd go to the top thing, and we'd throw paper airplanes and see who could,
his Heelys.
Top. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now the hills were cool, and that was later on 80s, but before that, we just show up, say what up to the other people and just race. It wasn't like we didn't have like a crew really. I don't think anyone in Acton was like on the level like that. Yeah,
I mean, that would have been 95. You were born, right? So we're talking 94. Right around 2000.
Yep. Yeah, like I was, 94 is when I was born.
Alessis? Were the Alessis?
The Alessis were actually. They weren't my age. They were like 5 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So I watched Jeff and Mike's entire career because they lived out there. So every Saturday night, it'd be like a hot summer night, Saturday night. And Mike and Jeff would be there with their rig and their truck and the Alessi racing. And we got to see it all. And I remember watching Mike on a 65 at Cedar City in Utah for a Loretta's regional. And he on a 65, he was tripling down this hill. I mean, it was cool watching those guys. And I watched the 80s when he was battling with Millsaps at World Mini. And I watched Villapoto come in. He was on a Yamaha. And I watched him on a Team Green Cowie out at Glen Helen for like a Supercross thing. And I watched it. It was cool. It was a good time to grow up watching. Yeah, that was a cool time in the sport before, and even just in the world in general, before cell phones and I don't know, whatever the hell's going on these days. Yeah. It's just a little different. More. I try to stay positive. I'm really like not that positive of a person. My wife tells me, but But I try not to think about all the chaos. I try to think of like we have a great opportunity being able to go out, film a YouTube video, and upload it, and people from all over the world can watch it. And you can post and get good at Instagram, figuring out what people want to see and get brand deals and make money. So I think it does suck. There's a lot of reasons why now today's times do suck, but I try to think positive about it. Like,
Look at the bright side. Yeah,
Yep.
dude, silver lining on it. You're right. You're right. You couldn't do that before. There wasn't no YouTube.
no,
So
you had to try to get in a magazine.
yeah, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Any rivals back then? Like,
Nah, not really.
not really.
Nah,
Okay.
we didn't. We try to stay out of the drama, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really like I don't got time for
Just
that.
stayed in your truck and blasted
Results.
Slayer and
Results
yeah.
talk, hard work pays off. That's the motto.
I like that. Dad did a good job. What pros were you looking up to at the time? 2000 would have been like Jeremy was still.
I was a McGrath,
Yeah.
that was my timing. We'd watch Stay in the Dirt. McGrath would come out, with his box fan, his KTM, and I sat in line forever to get a picture with him. McGrath, for anyone my age or even around my age, it was like the king, You
Yeah.
wanted to be McGrath when you grew up. That was the dream. I remember watching Ryan Hughes, though, on a KTM. I didn't know who he was. And my dad's like this, what is it, an hour-long race for Day in the Dirt was at LACR. And McGrath's that way out front, number 2 on the KTM with the silver front. And Rhino's coming. And, like, he's tracking him down. My dad's like, dude, Rhino's, And I'm like, who, Rhino? Like, I was probably 7 or 8 or something.
Who's Rhino?
Yeah, and sure enough, dude, he did. And there was this small chicane section, and Rhino was gapping over the whole thing to flat. It was pretty sick. And
Oh,
I
wow.
remember watching that. And then I was a Ryan Hughes fan, and then that was when he battled with Mike Brown for the outdoors and stuff like that. That's what I watched Wyndham and RC had that battle that year. That was like we'd listen to it on the laptop live. There was no TV coverage till next week or something.
1-800-COLLECT or no, what was it? 1-800-INF Moto? You're
Yeah.
probably too young for that.
No, I mean I remember.
You remember that? Yeah. So that's actually pretty cool. You might have seen Jeremy. That's probably one of the last races he did in the States on a KTM because I think he went to Europe and did one, and that's when he got hurt, right?
Yep. I remember he got hurt, and man, that's devastating. You hear that news in the house. My dad comes in from McGrath got hurt, and it's like, oh, bummer. I remember the same thing when Metzger. We were like, Metzger's got a backflip heel clicker, so we go to the Coliseum, and he wouldn't show. He wasn't there. We're like, what happened? He got hurt,
yeah.
Stuff.
Were you back in that window? Because that would have been 99 was kind of when Moto got into the X Games, right? That was when Pastrana jumped into the Bay.
Yep.
So did that catch your eye? Like as a kid, were you kind of like, oh, wow, this is sick? Or were you just Moto?
I was just into whatever my dad was into, which was racing. So
Okay.
freestyle wasn't even like a thing. And it was such a random kind of like a weird thing at the time. It was like freestyle, And I feel like that was more of an adult thing, whatever. But my Oma, she's my dad's mom from Germany, she would take me to X Games in the summer because my birthday's August 30th. X Games was like the first week of August back then. And she took me, and she was a huge Deegan fan. And she's like,
Your grandma?
Yeah, she's like, you got to do the spike. She's my Oma, right? She grew up in Germany, but she's like, you got to do the spikes and the mohawk, And me and my dad are like trying to be factory racers. So we're like, all right. We'd go watch, Deegan, Metzger, Pastrana. That was fun. And Nate Adams was unbelievable at the time. So that was
Twitch too, like coming around there.
Twitch and those guys. I remember watching them and stuff too. And
Which think about that, dude. How crazy Twitch is still riding.
yep. Yeah, freestyle is cool like that, because you don't have to be crazy in shape. You got to be like fit, but you don't have to be out road by. It's not like racing.
No.
And you get your tricks dialed, and it's routine. So it's like
muscle memory kind of just.
Yeah.
Still though, he's flipping. Like that's, I don't know, it's pretty heavy to me.
Flips are once you get them dialed, it's
easy.
a thing. It's what you do.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why I'm stoked. Like if I can be in good shape and dodge some injuries, you know what I mean? We're gonna be doing this for a while too. So
you're fine, dude. You're growing fingernails back. I mean,
dude.
you got
healthy, man.
You're all set. Was your family all pretty close then? It sounds like it.
Yeah, we're a good, solid family. Yep.
Yeah. It takes that, dude, to go racing. It's
that's
hard.
That's what I like about racing. My wife's like didn't grow up racing, so I'm kind of explaining it to her like we're gonna be going in the truck with a toy hauler, and we're gonna be going to the track, and all the families are really cool, like solid families racing. It's a really cool industry. Like it's not like you would expect. Like action sports can be kind of like punks and riffraff and things, but racing is a really solid industry.
Does she support that?
She'll love it, dude. She's gonna be into it. Yeah.
All right.
She's into like whatever. Like I'm gonna get her a bike. She's ridden a little bit, but once we're out there and we go on these trail rides at sunset and shit, it's just like what's not to love? It's so fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. What was your best kind of finishes? You said you were top 5 at a lot of like world minis and stuff. What amateur national events did you do best at?
Anything West Coast, I did really well at. World Mini was cool. Mammoth, I always did well at that. And then really did good at a lot of these, like the Gold Cup series, the GFI series, those types of things.
Yeah, GFI, I guess that was kind of taken over Golden State by then, huh?
Yeah.
GOAT stuff was legit.
Yeah, those are, Villapoto would be there. These were like solid races, and it'd be Paris Raceway. The next round was Gorman. The next round would be LACR, Glen Helen, and those were my tracks that I'd practice at. So, yeah, those are a lot of fun. I think I was going to get third in Super Mini. And, man, my class couldn't have been more stacked. Like, Osborne, and like, he was on a Super Mini. I think, it was Nelson. Michael Mays was on Factory Suzuki on 80s.
Would that have been
Cooper
Izzy?
Webb.
Nico, or was this Stroop and Izzy? When was that?
It was Cincerillo, Cooper Webb were in my class, but Izzy was the one step above. So if I raced open class on like 911, 85,
then
I'd be lining up next to Tomac, Izzy, Schoberg. Was it like Stroop was already 1 year above them? But I remember yeah, dude, like those guys are all in my class. They're a few years older than me. So if it was one of those, if I was a 711 and they were in the 1415, we raced open or Super Mini was open, then I'd race with all those guys too. So I always had good starts. I remember whole shotting them.
Yeah.
There's a picture. Oh, here we go. There's a picture at Oak Hill. I'll send it to you. And it's me and Bam Bam in the front first turn, and we're fully colliding. I think it was either me coming from the outside trying to swoop in, or him coming from the outside and me already kind of swinging wide out of the inside.
Okay.
And a 90-degree left. And, dude, we're so just smashing each other. And there's a bunch. Anderson's in there. It's like a bunch of dudes on the.
Man, send that to me.
Yeah,
I'll put it up.
Oak Hill. I used to go to Oak Hill every year, and I did well there too. Top 5s and stuff. But
that was March, right? Or was that more later in the summer?
it was Oak Hill and then Whitney was back to back. And those were good timing of the year because it was like you either did mini O's or you did those, because it was like you're not going to. From Cali, you're not going to go to mini O's, come back, and then go back to Texas. So we always did Oak Hill.
Yeah, I did Whitney back in my day. I never made it to the Mini Olympics. Freaking drive to Florida?
Yeah, we never did it either. I've never been to Florida yet. Everyone's like, you love Florida. I'm like, well, I just built Rawville, so I don't see myself moving right now.
Yeah. You like humidity?
I'm not. I grew up in Cali. I don't.
Yeah.
I lived in Hawaii last year, and I was just like, I couldn't even handle it.
Yeah.
It was like
I don't think you'd love Florida.
Day.
Yeah. It's nice to have open land, but like the humidity is radical.
Yeah, I haven't experienced it.
I read somewhere you got into a gnarly car crash at some point.
Yeah, that's been covered on all my stuff. I was just getting wasted like junior year high school. I don't know. That's what we did in Acton. And then I was driving, hauling ass, racing my friend home, and kind of was blacked out drunk, but hit a pole. Kind of sucked. I was like tripping because I just got my first truck, worked jobs, whatever, stacked up to get it, fix it. And then I was going to go get a 450 was like what I was saving for at the time. I was 16 because I wanted to get back into racing. I wanted to get a 450, and I wanted to go moto because I could finally add wheels now, So it'd been like 2 years since I ridden because I stopped. I pretty much
quit at 14, right?
I moved out at like 14. Yeah, my parents split. I couldn't stand my dad's girlfriend at the time kind of thing, or just the way he was being, that whole thing. And then my mom, same thing. She was just acting crazy, and I hated her boyfriend. So I was like, you know what, you guys are both, nothing productive's happening here. I'm out. I'm going to go live with my friends that have BMX jumps.
So back up a little bit. When did your folks split?
When I was 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember went to Loretta's and came home and all the furniture was gone. I'm like, what? I didn't know we were moving. You know what I mean?
So you had no idea.
Nah, it was a weak, super weak time and weak the way they split. But for me, it was like, dude, I want to race moto. But my dad's like, live with me and race moto or don't, and we're done. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna live with you and race moto. But we just kept colliding because I was putting in the effort, and he was working full time. And then it was like he was dating, and I'm like, dude, we just kept fighting, and I'm like, you know what? And it was a weird time because 4-strokes were the new thing. So it was like, if you don't get a factory ride, how much money is it going to be? Get 250Fs, one's got to be built.
That's another 10 grand.
So I'm like, dude, I had all this pressure, and I'm like, you know what? And my shoulder was dislocating every time, like I was like in 3rd place in the super mini class, and it was a solid deal. I was putting in the work to get the results to maybe get a factory ride or get a deal, and then my fell over, shoulder popped out. I could have got up and finished 3rd because I had a little gap, but things like that. And I'm like, you know what? I can basically go back to high school and ride BMX bikes and live with my mom and do whatever I wanted. And that to me sounded way better than what I was doing.
Struggling.
Or just basically just living with my pops in an RV. And then it was just, I was like, I was staying with my Oma and stuff, but I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go. I wanted to ride BMX. It's like I could backflip. I'd actually hang out with Christian Craig, Eli Tomac, and then who was like a couple. Kyle Engel was badass on BMX, and we'd be at Honey Lake for I think it was a Loretta regional, and there's jumps there, and we'd be riding and hanging out, and BMX was so fun, and I excelled at it, and I was like, I need to just take a year to see what I can do. And then when I got back 16, went to get a truck, crashed it the night before the last day of high school junior year. And then it was like, okay, my mom had an apartment in Canyon Country that my brother and sister lived at. She lived with her boyfriend. But basically, I went down there, stayed in Canyon Country. And then it was like, okay, that's the decision. Because I was on the fence. I was like, am I going to put all my effort into BMX or moto? And BMX just felt so much better to me at the time. I wanted to do that. So when that happened, I was like, BMX it is. So I rode my BMX bike to Santa Clarita Skate Park from the apartment. It's like a few miles every day. And I'd stay there till close and practice. I got on I hung out with the iBikes team. It was Corbin Yoder, and then it was Eric Engstrom, and he ran like Shadow Conspiracy and iBikes, and then he worked for a couple other brands, and they'd go road tripping all the time, and I'd rode with them, and we started filming, and I went to a jam in LA, and I had the 3 bangers of the day. It was like the last 3 clips of the whole edit for Juke Life with Taz Hernandez, and bunch of pros were there.
Was it dirt jump stuff, or like what, or was it like the park stuff?
Dirt, but I didn't have a foam pit, so I would just go big, throw 360s, backflips, things that I could dial in and have style, and I could blast quarter pipes. Was like my specialty. I wasn't like a trick rider. I was more like I'd show up to the quarter pipe and go the highest out of anybody there. And then when we'd go to like a jam, you'd go to these different parks, and instead of doing like a 360 double bar spin to manual, I would do like a gap out of the park over the fence to flat. It was like 50 feet, whatever, like something big. And that was a banger. That was like one of the cool things of the day. And then those are the types of things I would do. So I'd flip over a tree, or like I flip off this bank to flat and things like I just would go big. It's like Sean Burns or like that kind of style, just gnarly, far, not a ton of tricks. But then I got on standard bikes. We took a road trip to Davenport, stopped in like St. Louis, Dallas, Oklahoma City, filmed the whole thing, and then I was broke. So one of the dudes, Stephen August, at the time, I was riding with him. His dad had a construction company. We went and did demo for them. And then Jed August, he basically taught me he's like, okay, we're going to rip apart this entire building, this whole floor. All the stuff goes out. I was one of the standout hard worker dudes. So he's like, you're invited to basically stay on the crew, get a screw gun, get your tool bags, learn how to put this frame up this wall, drywall, get your mud paint, tape. I'll teach you how. Okay, now you're on. So then I started learning all these trades, and I wanted to work for like 3 months and quit and go back to riding BMX, but I learned so much and I was making so much money. I was like, this job ain't over. I'm not walking out. I'm staying. And that job turned into like a 3-year of just working on a crew. So I'm like, this is sweet. Now I'm buying a van, buying a 450, racing arena cross, and then I'm going to the hills and shoveling jumps with Vinny Carbone and the No Namers, and then Twitch was coming out, and I was like a standout kind of thing, and I'm like, dude, maybe I'll get into free riding. When I went to arena cross Cincinnati, dislocated my shoulder, of course. This dude cut me off first lap in a heat race. My lap times were good. I was trying to get my points for Supercross. But it was just, I'd save up $6,000. I'd tell my boss I need like a few weeks off. But he was so cool. He's like, yeah, go for it. I want you to live your dream of racing. So go for it. And then I'd come back. Okay, spent $6,000 in like a month.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it goes fast, dude, huh?
Yeah, dude, it does. You're like, man, like I just grinded, spent all this money, new tires, VP, Pro 6, traveling, sign-ups $200. I'm like, dude, this ain't even something. And I was hoping to just get my points, get in, stand out. But I'm like, okay, if I would have saved my money, rode the same Roach set of tires and the hills and flipped and did whips all day, I could have been in that Transworld magazine, you know. But I went. So I'm like, you know what? That's it. I picked up my friend Evan Hall from Ritchie Canyon, basically. And I was like, I wasn't. So when I was racing arena cross, I was mountain biking. In the best shape ever, not drinking, not doing nothing, and then I show up, and then after that happened, I spent all my money in Cincinnati. I went to Baltimore the next round, and then the whoops were the biggest whoops of the whole year, I swear. Everyone even said it. Whoops are huge. I'm like, of course, on the weekend, my shoulders taped up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm over it. And you had to make a main event to get a point. It wasn't the year before. You just had to make a night show.
Okay.
Anyways, dude, I was over it. I show up, I pick up my friend Evan, and I'm like, I show up, I'm smoking a cigarette, and there's like a beer. I'm all, what's up, man? He's all, so we're free riding? I'm all, yeah, we're free riding, dude. We're not racing. He's all,
we're not racers
he's
anymore.
All, lose the jersey. We don't wear jerseys because we're not racing. We're wearing T-shirts. I'm like, yep, we're on it. So then it was full time free riding. I started making these videos called Raw Free Riding. And made like 12 episodes. And if you look at those on my YouTube channel, it's like 10 minutes worth of us just shredding stock bikes, just, you know, good times in Beaumont and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the start. And I met Larry Linkogle, and he got me into quarter pipe X Games. And then that's pretty much, you kind of know where that has gone. So
yeah. So those BMX days, especially hearing that your kind of move was to just pop out of the quarter pipe higher than anybody.
Yeah.
Had to help, right? I mean,
it all kind of came together, man. It all aligned, you know. And that's what, like, if I could give advice, if that's what we're here to do or whatever, I don't know. But basically, if you just keep chipping away at whatever it is, and like your plan may get rattled, but as long as you're kind of moving the same direction, like when I wasn't riding moto when I was a kid, I was riding BMX. That came in handy later. Like if I wasn't, you know, doing whatever, if I wasn't racing or riding, I was working construction. Well, now I'm building my own quarter pipes. I'm building my own spines, jumps, ramps. I own a ramp company. I'm testing ramps on my YouTube. I'm building all my stuff. Real Moto, I won back-to-back years. I built ramps and now everybody's using ramps, you know, riding urban. They're taking ramps. I see all over the internet. So, you know, it's like everything I'm doing is all moving the same direction, and it all kind of came in handy. It all worked out on us.
And dude, I mean, those are just great skills to learn anyway, right?
Yeah,
Construction, I don't care, you know, owning your own house later and you want to change something, knock a wall down, you're like, oh, I know how to do this.
When your water heater goes out and your wife can't shower, you know, what are you going to do? Or if your AC, or if, you know, there's a door that fell off the hinge or something, it's like, what are you going to do? Call somebody?
Yeah.
No, get up and go and fix it. So
yeah, dude, that's rad. Now, you worked at one point, I don't know, in this timeline, but you were working 2 jobs.
Yep. Well,
simultaneously, like basically 22 hours a day of working?
Yep. So the whole point of that was the dude that I said earlier, Jed August, he taught me all the trades. And I watched him. He worked a day crew in Hollywood building high-rise buildings and renovating offices. And they had buildings all over L.A. Well, he would work a day job. Then he would go to the night job that I was on, the demo crew. We were in Studio City, the Panasonic building. And we were taking out the whole floor, and then we were remapping walls for some new company that went into the 4th floor up there. He would work all day, and then he'd show up at night and work, and he'd have in his tool bags, he'd have almonds, he would have blueberries, whatever, berries, a Gatorade, and he looked tired as hell, but he was cranking. He'd be carrying drywall, throwing this up, ordering everybody around. He's the boss of like a 60-man crew. And he's like, see this, Raha? This is how you do it, man. Eat good. You know, I haven't slept. I barely get home. I shower. I try to take a nap for 30 minutes. And he goes, and I'm back on. And he goes, you know, he probably made like, I think he showed me a check for like $60,000. It was like a 3-month thing. But he was working the days too. And I'm like, man, that's how you do it, you know. And the only reason I did it was because if I was not out training and riding, and let's say arena cross or the hill season for winter was coming up, why would I only work 8 hours? And then what am I going to do? Hang out? No. I'm going to work 8 hours during the day and then go up to, it was 7 a.m. I'd clock in at Bulldog Equipment in Newhall, California. And it was basically, I would just pressure wash scissor lifts. I would come in off of jobs. They'd be all dirty. I'd pressure wash them, re-sticker them, change the wheels off ones that were needed tires or whatever. I'd do that till 3 p.m. So 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Get off at 3, and I'd drive down to Hollywood and clock in at the 6464 building on Cahuenga. and we would be renovating offices there at night. So I would work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then I'd drive an hour down there, and then I would work from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. And then some nights, the crew, the Mexican dudes, they're like wanted extra hours, or they just weren't ready to go home yet, and they'd be like, hey, we're not done. And it's like 5 a.m. I'm like, I clock in, and I didn't want to tell people, so I was kind of being hush about it because I didn't want to get fired. It's like, what are you doing? You're operating equipment over here, and you're working too, like, that's a liability, right?
Yeah.
You pick one. And I was like, dude, I'm making.
What were you making? I mean, you had to be crushing.
It was like $12.50 an hour, but I got double time or overtime. And since we would work like 8 or 12 hour shifts, or it was like 10 or 12 hour shifts sometimes, 6 to 6 at night, we would collect overtime. So I was making 2 checks, but
Yeah.
Dude, it was so gnarly. I was like, one day I'm going to talk about this while I was doing it. I had a mattress in the back of my van.
You just little naps here and there.
In between jobs, I'd try to nap, but it'd be so hot out or whatever. It just like, dude, I didn't sleep, and now I'm going back in. And it was cool Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then like come Thursday and Friday and these guys were busting my balls because I was the young little white kid on the crew.
Yeah.
And they're all older Mexican dudes. So they try to overwork me to get me to quit, They call me a pussy. Like, hey, carry all that drywall up the stairs. And I never said shit. I never bitched. I'd always just, all right, this Thursday night I haven't slept, but if I don't, they're going to tell the boss I'm being a pussy. So I do it. And man, I just remember like I did that for like 2 months, and it was just gnarly, dude. I'd sleep all weekend, like just try to catch up. And I'm like, man, go back to work. But the reason why is because you stack up as much money as you can while you're working. And then when you quit, it's like I can last 6 months. I'm in the hills every single day. I'd rent a room for $250 in Redlands. And then I'd have my bike. It's not like I needed tires. All I needed to do was fill up my gas tank, and I'm good. You didn't need anything. Change the oil once every like 15 rides. You're not holding it wide open at Glen Helen all day. So it was cheap, and I was able to be in the hills shoveling, earn my spot. It was like at the time, the hills, no one knew where they were, and it was only like Vinny Carbone, the no-namers, and Vinny would invite Twitch out to film for his Chasing the Storms on all the jumps. So it was tight niche. And in order to get your name and be in, it was like show up, don't even bring a gear, just show up and shovel, because you're not just going to show up and hit jumps. Now it's so everyone shows up and they don't even know anything. They never held a shovel. They take a picture with a shovel and they say that they're shoveling, but it's dry as a bone. You're not shoveling with dirt.
You're shoveling silt.
Who stacked that and that, So at the time, it was like I shoveled for 6 months knowing that I wasn't probably going to ride or get in a shoot. It wasn't about that. It was like make a name for myself, earn my spot. Then 6 months later, I was in for the long term. It was like I'll be able to come out here and shoot photos and post them, and I'll be one of like 5 people. Twitch, he could come out. He always brought he'd bring big name dudes, and then they'd shoot. But he had a deal worked out with Vinny, so Vinny would, I don't know, get hooked up, or that was his boy or whatever. They had their own deal, so none of my business. But I wanted to make my spot, so I'd shovel, and then I got in.
So how long did you go out there and just shovel without any riding?
It was like 6 or 7 months. I would ride, but I knew better that it wasn't. If there's a photographer there, I wasn't gearing up because it wasn't for me. It was for Vinny. It's his stuff. He was the guy, So it was like, and it was cool for him because we wanted him to succeed. So we were just the young bucks shoveling, and then he would get the photos. And it wasn't like I had videos of me riding, but I wasn't going to post them because it wasn't about that. Vinny had built all these jumps, and I came in late, so I was there to like earn my spot. But then it pissed me off when it'd be like Twitch would come out, and then it'd be Axel and Phil out there, you know what I mean? That was where it all started because they'd come out, and I'm like, you got a whole Trans World mini documentary and a magazine shoot, the cover photo on the jumps that I was out in the rain with wet socks shoveling for 15 days, So that kind of pissed me off, but I didn't say nothing. Wasn't my spot. And I'd flip, and I was flipping these jumps with stock suspension on a bike with a bent subframe, and I was doing enough to be like, yo, you killed it. People were like, you were the standout today. That was rad. I flipped like 3 or 4 different jumps, stock suspension, without even using a foam pit ever. Learned on the jumps out there in the hills, pulling back. Because it's like you're going to bail, you're going to land on your feet at the top of the mountain, And that was just something I felt like, because from BMX, I'm like, I could flip. I flip BMX all day.
Yeah.
So it's a heavy BMX. I'll just pull back. And I landed my second flip ever. But anyways, I do all this, and then I get no respect from, you know, the old man, PH. So I'm like, that's where it started. And then it was like, already he's just always yapping. So then that's what you were asking me earlier. Like, dude, was it like, this stuff that happened at Ventura happens every time. We just caught it on video this time. So, but it's, you know, Axel's been cool. It's just really, that. So that was the free riding drama. I didn't really deal with that in racing. I mean, there was drama, but results talk. Free riding's like, wait, I just killed it all day and I'm not getting any love for nobody. Like, all right.
Dude, I don't know that I could do that, dig for that long. Like, I would give you maybe a few weeks or a month. Dude, half a year you're just out there shoveling and eating shit, basically.
Yep.
While other guys.
Yeah, no.
You're a tougher dude than me.
It was weak, but I knew that I was going to be in, like, you know, and I was meeting some of my heroes. You know, I was riding. It's funny because I was out there riding with Cooper Webb when Twitch brought him out, you know. So I was like, hey, man, we used to race at Honey Lake, you know. And he's like, yeah, I remember, yeah, 750 on a Suzuki, you know. Anyways, it's all good, man. Fast forward, it all kind of.
Dude, so, I mean, what stands out for me, again, we were talking earlier about this current generation versus the window you grew up in, and I'm quite a bit older than you, but I think up to about your point, you know, maybe from 2000 on, I just feel like there's a shift in culture where people don't want to work anymore. We can't find firemen that want to do the job. And I mean, I was going on interviews with 8,000 people for 6 spots.
Yeah.
So like, it's just something's changed. And I don't know if kids would do this today. Grind for 22 hours or 21 hours a day to stack up, to go out in the winter and just shovel for 6 months and not even get any credit. Like,
it was just weird timing because there was that period when it was like Deegan and I mean, Twitch is still riding, but Deegan and those dudes would hold on to it like they were in X Games every year. And there was a couple talented dudes coming up that could have been in X Games and been standouts. But of course, they're holding on to the spotlight. Nothing against them. It's just business, and they're making their money, doing their thing. But I was in the one where it was like there was no future really unless you rode shows or you rode or you did YouTube videos. There was no way to make side money. And I bought the property to do classes because I have a good resume racing or as a kid. So, and I worked with Kurt Hendricks and I worked with top trainers. Watched all the Gary Simic stuff, so I'm like, I could train kids. So the reason why I bought the land was
Rawville you're talking about?
Yeah, to make tracks to train kids, you know, because I could show them my resume and I could show them what I can do on a bike, and then if I could train some kids and build a reputation as a trainer, that's just one outlet to make money. But if you could do that or make YouTube videos and make a few hundred bucks if you film them yourself, editing them yourself, not paying a filmer, you could make some profit on YouTube. That's one way. Other than that, it's freestyle shows or, you know, if you want to go race a weekend thing, but good luck because Mike Lessie's going to be out there cleaning up. So it's like, what could I do to make money doing what I love to do was the goal. And then that was just the timing. But now it's like you could go out to Ritchie Canyon. Everyone knows where it is. And you could go shred all day long. And I'm sure that's not going to last long. You know, it'll probably only be open another couple years, which is why I bought my house there. But then that's why I'm stoked to be up in the high desert because it's free reigns out there, and I built my compound. So now I'm like, you know what? You guys do whatever you want out there. And all these kids are growing up throwing good whips, but they're not really learning flip tricks or how to, you know, be that's what I kind of had to learn was like how to promote companies right and do my job and it was like, dude, how can I win X Games? How can I? Once quarter pipe showed up, that was my end because best whip was like for the big dogs. It was like Hanson, Twitch. Like, how do you get in best whip? You don't. Well, then nowadays, if you throw in good whips with social media, you can get noticed and you can get in.
Pat Evans.
Like Patrick Evans, YO. Yeah. Those dudes are throwing such good whips. They deserve to be in there, and it's because of Instagram that they're in there, you know? And quarter pipe opened up, and I was like, wait, look at this. And I sent a couple huge airs at Militia, sent them to Link Ogle, who sent him to Kenny Bell, who was a manager at Nitro World Games quarter pipe. It's a small industry, so if you can ride good, you're in and you're respectable. You know, as long as you're not like being a shithead, you can come in and ride. And then got into the Nitro practice, went the highest. It was actually everybody was there. I taught Bierman kind of was working with him on my technique a little bit. He's perfected and done his own thing with that. But Nitro was like first time anyone really rode quarter who didn't have one. I had the in at Metal Militia, so I got to ride, but. And there, you know what, dude? People like at the time, for me, it was like hard to find an in. nowadays I feel like it's like if you can ride good and you're a good dude, you could come shred my quarter pipe, hit me up if you want to come help me do some barbed wire fence on a weekend or this, or help me paint my ramp or whatever one weekend. Well, then you just earn your spot to come shred quarter, and I'll teach you. And it's like that with militia too. It's the same thing. That's how I was like, yeah, come work at the winery and you can ride here for free. So, that's what's cool about this industry, at least for dirt biking, is like, you can show your skills on Instagram. You can, come put in work and be there. So I don't know. There's no excuses anymore.
Yeah, no, that's like you said, that is a cool thing about social media in the modern age, but I just don't know that a lot of guys would work as hard as you did. Like, it's super impressive, dude.
Thank you.
I don't know if I would do it. Frick, 21 hours a day, like.
Everyone lives at home, and I think, and they don't have to go and get up and work. I don't know if that's what happened and why I got up and went and worked, but I wanted to live my dream. I knew I had the skill from growing up doing it, but I didn't. I had to go make a buck,
Yeah.
I remember people were like, why are you working? Why are you on a crew working all night? Like, why don't you come work at like Comp Edge, or why don't you work at the track? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna make like $8 an hour. I have to pay for bills, rent, gas, food, bikes. So anyways, that was the way it kind of worked.
Okay, so 14, you quit riding. That was when you got it. You were working your ass off, riding in the summers, or winters rather.
Yep.
Tell me about that BMX stuff, because that was during that window, yeah?
Yeah, it was BMX, and I did.
Were you racing, or like I said, it was more like park
tricks.
stuff, dirt? Yeah, tricks.
Yeah,
stuff.
tricks.
Okay.
Like I was making trips. Now that I was.
And there was no money in there, yeah?
Now that I was on a team, it was no money. I wasn't getting paid paychecks,
Yeah.
But it was free. That's what's cool about BMX. It's like skating. You
Yeah.
You have a bike. What are you gonna fix a tube every once in a while? But
Right.
that's what I love about BMX. As a kid with no where to live, like parent wise, or no car, you can be a professional BMXer. You can ride to the spot, train,
Yeah.
sleep on a couch, pull weeds. I was pulling weeds in Paris, or doing landscape work for the dudes to pay rent in Paris at the Hood Ridge trails. So when I moved out to the IE, I was 15 minutes from Ritchie Canyon, but I was riding BMX. Then I started taking trips to Woodward. I love BMX for that you don't have to have a truck to load a dirt bike in to take out to the track or now the hills to get your name. You can literally just go ride BMX, do cool stuff, get good at it, go work at Woodward, or go get on a pro list and go help I go to Woodward for free at the time, and now if I have the time, but you work with the kids there, they let you ride for free. And you get to hit the foam pit 100 times, and then help the kids for a couple hours and then keep going. But BMX is like, there's no excuses why anybody couldn't be a pro in BMX. It is getting very gnarly nowadays, but you can go put out a video part that's creative and gnarly, and you can get a signature frame, and then you get royalties from your frame. So that's what was cool about BMX. And I was trying to do that, but then I don't know, moto just snowballed once I started free riding like that, having fun, wearing Metal Militia shirts when I didn't even know Larry Linkogle yet. And then once he came out and he saw me, he's like, dude, come down to Militia. Dude, it was crazy how that worked. I met him at Ritchie Canyon for Racer X Day. Racer X came out, Garth Milan, to shoot some stuff. And Vinny Carbone and Link were the dudes there for the shots. And I was throwing down. But I was like, I'm not getting shots. That's not my I don't, if you ride better, it doesn't matter. You're not the guy, and it's their jumps. And he shoveled those first. I'm just new. Well, they did their thing, and then like months later, once X Games announced quarter pipe, Link hit me up on a DM. This is exactly the wording, dude. He said, come out to Metal Militia and train here. And I said, I'm down, but I don't want to just hit, because the compound wasn't prepped at the time. It was like the foam pit where Vinny was trying flares, and I was helping Vinny pulling his bike out. I didn't ride into the foam or try flips or anything, but I was helping Vinny that day. And I met Link that day or whatever. But then he DMs me. He goes, hey, come out to the Metal Militia compound and train here. I said, I'm down, but I don't want to just hit the foam pit. I want to ride the compound. I want to hit the quarter pipe, and I want to show Axel Hodges how to boost, is what I said. Because Hodges was getting all this footage on Instagram of him hitting a quarter pipe. I think it was like they had a private setup somewhere, and then he did that monster quarter pipe thing. But I said that because I know I can go higher than this dude. I'm airing a BMX like 10 feet out of a vert ramp, so I'm like, yeah, I want to hit the quarter pipe. And he said, talk is cheap. And I said, I'll put in the work. And then he said, don't bring any camera. He used a word we can't use nowadays, but he said, don't bring any camera people. Show up ready to go Monday morning or something. And which meant like, don't come out here to get a picture of yourself in front of the militia wall ride to post on Instagram like you're in with militia. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like people do
right.
so much of that.
Yeah.
He's all, don't bring cameras. Show up and put in the work. And I was like, I'm there. And I showed up. Rich Kearns was there. And then we started hitting the quarter pipe. It was my first time hitting a quarter pipe ever. And then I boosted it. So that was cool. It's just, that's kind of how that works. But I'm like gates open. If someone wants to get after it, come out, you know, but help me out when I need the help, and I'll help you out too in return, you know.
That's rad. That's how like a lot of action sports are. You know, like I've always thought that was the one cool thing about contest stuff, like skate, BMX, especially. They're up there like cheering the other competitors on.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen in moto. I guess a little bit FMX, but I don't know. Maybe you're clapping, but you're going. I don't know. It doesn't seem sincere, right? You know, we're too competitive.
It's still competitive in moto.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Like when Creed won, I was happy for him. You know, I was like, dude, that was cool. It was a fair contest, and that's how the feeling should be. Even if you get beat, as long as someone's not riding dirty or being lame on the track, like if someone beats you, you're like, hey, props.
Yeah.
You did a good job. I busted my ass. I knew, like, you know, and you beat me. So fair and square. Good shit. You know, I wish I won.
Yeah.
But, you know, and that's like how my attitude is. And that's sports, you know.
Yeah.
But then you get people that are like, I'm tearing your bike down and I'm whatever. And that's not fair. And it's like, dude, just shut up, man.
Yeah.
It's fun. This is supposed to be fun, you know.
People lose sight of that, especially the more money that gets involved, right?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit, just real quick, about Link. Because that dude's wild to me.
He's wild,
and,
yeah.
And I remember he had a supercross track, one of the first kind of like privately owned supercross tracks.
Diamond and those
way
dudes.
back.
Yep.
And I rode there a few times, and he lived in that little
the Rock House cabin.
Yeah.
And I lived there after X
Did you?
Games, yeah.
So it was just a wild little place, and I don't know, he was just a kind of an odd bird.
He is. He's funny, man. He's classic. I swear a lot of his stuff is meant to be funny, you know? Like, I don't know. I think I just remember dying laughing at a lot of his stuff. And he's married now, and he's taking care of his the winery, you know, their family winery and stuff. So he's busy. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was like really my mentor. Like when I started, I wasn't expecting to turn. Like I've always wanted to be pro or maybe get into X Games was the goal. But once you're there, you're like, whoa, this is crazy. You know, I'm literally still I was staying on a couch in Paris, but then shit was hitting the fan. So now I'm literally don't have a place to go. Mom doesn't have a crib to go crash at. I don't talk to Pop. So it's like, dude, it's like, you know, I'm sleeping in my truck tonight. You know what I mean? But when I won X Games, I was still, and then that Link let me move in. But so he was my mentor because it all happened so quick. It was like, whoa, I'm pro now. I just won X Games. Brian Manley, OG, right?
Oh, yeah.
Him and Link, this is where like just a whole nother thing at X Games. Brian Manley and Link, right before I went out to do quarter pipe, it was my first time at X Games. I was wearing the spikes. I pay homage to Link for taking me under his wing and getting me into X Games. And dude, craziest thing, they had a Red Bull deal for me. They were going to surprise me with after.
Who's they? Manley and.
No, I'm getting to them.
Oh.
I kind of took a tangent.
Okay.
But this is how it unfolded. I show up with Death to Hipsters on the front fender, Metal Militia sticker, and I have spikes. Well, Matto gave me a hint like 2 weeks before X Games and said, hey, if you're good and everything's good and you know don't cuss and stuff, and Red Bull wants to sponsor you. But I was like, you don't believe everything you hear kind of thing. I was just like, it's too good to be true. I just didn't want to like think that was real. I show up to X Games with the spikes on. Right before I go to do my quarter pipe, the contest, I'm gearing up. I look over, and it's Brian Manley, and it's Link. And Hodge's bike was there. But he wasn't riding because he broke his wrist right before on a step-up. He was practicing for step-up at Paula.
Okay.
Well, he broke his wrist. So he was there but in a cast. And I look over, and Brian Manley and Link are fucking around with a Sharpie, right? And I'm like, oh, they're
on his bike?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he's just, you know, they're fucking around. And I'm about to go do something that I've always like, this is my first time at X Games. I'm tripping, you know. So I'm like ignoring them. And then I keep glancing over, and they're cracking up, and I'm like, whatever. And then I see Phil, because they're gone, and Phil sees it, right? But see, the Axel ain't riding. His bike's just sitting over there, and it's in the pits. It's not on display. It's just like in the private. he's running around freaking out, and I keep seeing like I corner mine buzzing by and flipping out and talking to people and pointing and showing, and it turned into this huge thing. And then I go out there with the spikes on and I win. And since he rode on Axel's bike and Phil made such a big deal of it, they gave my Red Bull. They didn't give me a Red Bull deal, right? So I didn't even know I had one till months went by. I found out later. They're like, "You realize you had a deal?" That was crazy. Well, then Josh Hill was the TM at Monster, and he goes, "Hey man, all bullshit aside," he's like, "I'm so proud of you, dude. Like when I seen you hit a quarter pipe your first time Nitro," he's like, "I already knew I wanted you on Monster." He's like, "We got a deal for you." And I'm like, and Link was, dude, Link, his funniest joke was like, he always put Monster this, that, like energy drinks suck. He always would say Monster gives you AIDS, right, on the hashtags. It's just Monster gives you AIDS on everything, right? Well, I'm like, this is so, and being at Militia, living in that cabin, and they were telling me they were going to pay me out real solid. I was like, dude, Josh Hill, love you, love your family, man. Like, I go, dude, I honestly,
I don't want AIDS.
I said, dude, I don't think I can work with Dirt Shark. I don't think I can do it, and I don't want to be under their camp. I said, I don't know. I'm just, honestly, dude, nothing against you, brother. Like, thank you for the opportunity. Unbelievable, but I can't, dude. I can't do it. I can't be over there. And I was like, that's it. And I told Link about it. And go, we're going to take care of you, Militia. So, anyways, as his, then I was full in his camp, and we would train together. Crazy, dude, down at Chainsaw Fitness, like 4 or 5 days a week, dude. We'd be down there doing full-on conditioning workouts, sledgehammer tires, ropes, burpees, push-ups, boxing.
Was this that bear guy?
Muay Thai? No, he Chainsaw was his nickname, but Bill Dean down there in Oceanside. And I got in shape and was crushing it. And then I did Real Moto, won those back-to-back and stuff. But Link was like, he was funny, man. That's all. He's a good dude, funny. And yeah.
Well, I think it's really just odd to me. Like you said, he was always say stuff, and I was like, is this a joke, or is he was? You didn't know if he was joking.
He's fucking around.
Like he made some comment at X Games, and I think he got in a lot of trouble for it. But he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna ghost ride my bike in the stands and decapitate some people."
Yeah.
And like they lost it.
So he doesn't give a shit. He sees it like we get so serious about this industry. We get so serious about X Games and all these things, but he always seen it as like, why is everyone so serious? You know, he always would fuck around. And he would like, he'd work at the winery, and he kind of had his like backup kind of set up anyways, and it wasn't like a big deal to him. Where like for me, I told him, hey man, look,
this
dude,
is my living. This is my one way to make.
I don't pull this shit off. Like I won X Games. I was living here. I had no other sponsors. I'm still repping hard as fuck. And I'm like, if I don't make some money, I'm done. Like I got no food in my pocket at all.
It's easy to be
or no
like,
money at all. Yeah.
Make fun of things and not care when you have money or you have.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking crap on him. Good for him, right?
He never took it serious like that, you know? And it was funny to him. And he did, honestly, dude, he did kind of create a lot of, well, like I said earlier, the Hodges, when they were in the hills, they had all this, their attitude. And even before Militia, there was already some shit. But he really did I don't even call it a good job, but he did the job of creating a ton of that, you know, the sharpening on their bike. He wrote FK, sellouts, and then he put Metal Militia down the frame, right? You could wipe it off with carb cleaner. And then he put where it said Dirt Shark, he put slay more dick sharks. Like I think it was Brian Manley. I don't even know who it was. They were both over there, but he did all this funny stuff. They took it crazy and that and whatever, and I don't know. And
Link doesn't get, I don't think, at least in the general public's eye, enough credit for really starting like Metal Militia was his thing.
It was, dude, what's crazy is I'm friends with Nathan Fletcher and Christian Fletcher. And Nathan Fletcher and Christian are from San Clemente, and they would ride it on their bikes. And that was their thing. And Link hung out with them. And they rode, they were like going hard doing a lot of that stuff. It was Link, Mickey Diamond, the Fletchers, and Brian Manley. And they did a lot of free riding before it was a thing, you know? Mm-hmm. That was them, like Krusty's 1, Krusty's 2. Those are the dudes doing a lot of the cool free riding. And people pick up on it right away, you know, because riders are good. They'll jump in and do it too. But Metal Militia, that was like Nathan, Link, those guys. And And then Deegan was, I think, younger. I forget the age gap, but he hung out with Link a ton, and they would shred, and they became good buddies, and they started the brand. So, but yeah, they're. I mean, and you can probably ask them. They probably have even a clearer vision. But what a cool brand, and then and good dudes, and then now I was doing a lot of my merch too, which is awesome. But man, I just don't have the time with trying to plan everything coming up. I've got that Raha Fest, which I'm. This is my first one doing it. I've been doing these night show kind of things. Like I did one already. I'm doing my next show. You can come out and watch us ride in September. It's like $20 at the gate. Kids are free.
You just rent lights and light your spot up?
I already have the lights because I ride at night for X Games. X Games is in summer, so I already got telephone poles with all my lights. So we'll ride until sunset, fire up the lights, and ride quarter at night. And I get a DJ out there and an announcer, and we throw out free product. Militia brought a ton of stuff. We threw a bunch of that out to the crowd. I have merch for sale, posters. It's just a good time. The kids love it, It's like for them, they get to come out and watch us hit a 30-foot tall quarter pipe ramp, and a lot of people come out. So I'm planning those. They're coming up September, November's Raha Fest. The whole point of this is that I don't have time to run merch. And now I'm trying to do a YouTube a week, back to what I was doing last year before my shoulder surgery, before my son, and I went to Hawaii. Got a really cool edit coming out of Hawaii. Me and Tyson Films put together. It's like 20 minutes long. It's pretty impressive. I'm stoked on what we did out there while I was living there. And sent my C10 lowrider out there, man, and we went to work and filmed a really cool part. So that's coming out. And yeah, so I did it, back with Militia doing signature shirts, and those sold out, which is awesome. I think we got like 300 units each design, but trying to make new designs now, but I'm not responding to people on DMs explaining why they got the wrong size shirt.
It's gnarly if you're running all that yourself.
It takes a ton of time designing, working with photographers and posting and recruiting people, trying to have a team. Like your friends are riding for you and they're not posting, and you're like, why am I not getting what I'm paying you for? And it just becomes a headache. So yeah, man, I'm learning a lot.
More of a distraction, right? You need to focus on what I know you're looking for multiple revenue streams, but some of them are just too much work for what they're worth.
For what it's worth. I got to work out, be in shape, eat right, hang out with my wife, hang out with my son, film YouTubes. I got plenty of
you got lots of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Tell me, just kind of a follow up on that period of your life where you were working so hard. Like, does that give you a different perspective? Has to, right? Like on the value of a dollar. Like how hard.
Yeah.
How like your dad always used to say, just work hard at what you want, right? And I know it's pretty.
Results talk was like his deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't got to be flashy or nothing. I would say that, the value of a dollar, that whole thing. But then what's weird is after living on my own since 14 with really no house other than, my mom's wasted ass boyfriend's 1-bedroom, like crappy house, like there's nowhere to crash, So what it was is like 5-6 years of not having a place and having bills and all that. So the value of a dollar thing, but then once you're making, I got on Weed Maps, getting paid. I had Militia stuff going on. I had Brass Knuckles was the new cannabis pen. They were paying me on the side. Worked because Weed Maps and them were partners.
Weed Maps, are they still even around?
No, they're doing some stuff. I think. Okay. Well, that's a whole separate deal.
Yeah.
I'll try to wrap that up. California got rid of all the unlicensed dispensaries, which was like 90% of their income, putting unlicensed dispensaries on Weed Maps.
Right.
So once they shut all those down,
killed them.
They had to, yeah. So, but anyway, while that was going off, that was so cool. I met so many good people. Nathan Fletcher was on Weed Maps, Bruce Irons, those were the surfers, Co Rothman. Then the skaters was Tommy Sandoval, Jaws, and then it was the BMX team, Dylan Stark, Brandon Began, Devin Smiley, and then it was Moto, it was me, Hillsack, and Tom Parsons. But they'd send us out to Hawaii, and that's where I met my wife. They'd send us out to Ensenada for the Baja 1000. We'd hang out with the Impedias and the Papas and beer, race truck drivers.
And you guys would just hang?
Well, we would go there to film, so they'd send us out there. Moto guys, take the van with the filmers. You're going over there to the spot. You're going to film for 5 hours, and you're going to do interviews. Skaters, you guys are taking that van. You're going over there. And after all that, they made a huge documentary thing, and they put out a bunch of YouTube content. So that was the way they would do their thing for Weed Maps. But I was getting paid with that, and I had a Fox Shift was like a deal I had going on, getting paid from them. I had like a Scott goggles at the time. Anyways, I had all these deals, right? And I got them all. I think it was like after I won my 3rd gold or something. But going from not making money to now I'm getting like $15,000 a month. I'm like, and I still don't have any bills because I'm driving a van I bought for $5,000 off of militia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And now it's like I'm 23, and what do? You know what I mean? You have fun. So, yeah, I'd be wasting money and stuff. But still, you know, doing whatever. I knew there was a time and a place for it. So that was cool to be able to, like, go from that to I made it kind of feeling and having fun, celebrating with all these badass athletes on the roads and doing cool stuff. So I got to really, like, live that, you know, which was cool. I don't know if people know how to have fun. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know a couple of the boys do.
Yeah.
I know some of the boys I compete with do. But then some of them, I'm like, what do you do with your money? You know what I mean? But now as I'm getting a little older, Rawville, I built that. That's the kind of an income thing. I'm learning about the business part of it. I've got my house in Colton. The damn housing market though, right? So the weird timing for me for that. But I got a house in Colton, paid off my lot just 2 days ago on the lake by Rawville, and I'm building a house there, getting approved for that. So I'm doing the best I can, and now I'm not doing the younger 20s type of thing.
What was the dumbest thing you ever wasted money on? Like, was there some purchase or a party or something where you just shed out bucks?
As soon as I got my X Games check for that first year was $20,000, and I didn't have any other bonuses. Like,
no sponsor.
I didn't have any other sponsors.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't have an energy drink bonus. I didn't have any salary, no contracts. Militia was a handshake deal.
Jeez.
They didn't even have like their whole brand together at the time, so I really didn't get paid for a lot of the time in the beginning there. But I got to live there and ride and stuff. So, but basically I bought an AR-15 first thing.
Hell yeah.
First thing, dude. Like it was like my friend's like, hey, I got an AR for the. I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm on my way, man. Picked it up, and it was milled out and all this and that, and no serial number type thing. But I got that. I went out and bought. I think I bought that van. I needed
the ramp van.
No, that was like 2 years in. But I bought the van that I need. I didn't have I had a little tiny Nissan pickup truck. I was kind of borrowing type thing.
Okay. At
the time when I won the X Games, so I bought a van that I'd say as far as wasting money, I don't know. I don't really consider it wasting money because it's like you kind of need to do that stuff. But I've had some big nights, you know, out partying.
Yeah.
So, big nights.
Catching the tab and
taking care of my crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those types of things. But I don't know if I've ever felt like I've wasted a lump sum of cash on anything really stupid. I'd say more like couple $1,000 nights.
Okay.
Consistently.
Well, Hanny, I just go back to this all the time, and he probably gets sick of hearing the story. But like when he signed his KTM deal, it was like $1.5 million or something like it over 3 years. I said, Hanny,
dope.
I was older, right? I said, dude, if you're just smart for
you guys
3 years,
same team kind of thing, or was that separate KTM? See your
yeah,
Langston
he was after me.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, when I rode for them, I think he might have not even been pro yet.
Like answer. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. And he came out. He was rode for KTM after I did. But I just said, dude, just be smart for 3 years. Put it into buy some houses. Like, be smart with that money.
Yeah.
And you won't ever have to.
What year was that?
Oh man, probably 3, 4, 5.
Houses in Temecula with 10 acres were like $200,000.
Bro, I know.
And they're worth $2 million now.
That's what I'm saying. So he said, this is what he said to me, and I'll never forget it. He goes,
let me know. I've been
he
wondering
goes, Ping,
about.
yeah, but like you're older. I'm young. I just want to have fun.
Okay.
And I was like,
thinking, I want to ask Metzger and those guys. Like Metzger's making $3-4 million a year in 2003, and I'm thinking, man, you could have bought 10 houses in Temecula. That all would be, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know the vibe back then. I have no idea. And I get to hang out with Metz a lot, so we take road trips. I'll ask him. He's cool as fuck, man. That guy knows how to have fun.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does. I just, I was older than him, and I was like, dude, just put that KTM money away. Whatever you make on bonuses from races or other sponsors, go have fun.
Yep.
And that dude showed up with Lamborghinis and just blew it. And he was broke.
I'm sure he had a good time.
He did.
You know what I mean?
Sure he did.
So it's like I'm kind of like in the same spot. I'm like may not seem like it, but I'm intelligent with things sometimes. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy this house. I'm not gonna rent a shop in an apartment in Temecula and spend $6,000 a month on rental stuff. And then I do all this, but then I'm still like, I just went and bought a $200,000 TRX. You know what I mean? But
well, you got to have some fun, but
you can't.
Just remember,
I'm still going to make things that I want to do happen. I'm buying my second house. I renting my front house out still. I feel like I'm on track. So the little extra thing, I just did my deal. I'm like, Metamilish is paying for that TRX right now for the next week. You know what I mean? Anyway,
just have a plan because,
it's just dirt bikes. We're having a good time.
You're done by the time, I mean, Twitch is an anomaly, but like 35, 40, you're done. You still got 40 years to live. Like that money's going quick if you're not bringing something in. So anyway,
good stuff.
It's just a funny story. I like to bust Hanny's balls all the time.
Yeah.
So you said early on in your career, like those days when you were shoveling and just trying to kind of make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
You were more just trying to go big, and like you said, there wasn't a lot of strategy or kind of layout to it. It was just like, I got to get my name out there.
It was like a vision board thing, you know. It's pretty much what it was. I didn't even know what a vision board. I'm starting to kind of figure out like what that is now. You know, Rob Deerdeck's been talking about it, but I had one and I didn't even know what it was. But I had a plan, you know, and the plan. That's why I said it was like longevity. Why shovel for 6-7 months? Because I knew that I was going to be known as one of the dudes that was a down shoveler, hard-working dude. You know, at least Vinny Carbone would consider me that. And I would have kind of like earned my respect out there to where I could kind of like, hey, you know what, I want to go film a part, or I want to go film a jump, or I want to, you know, build my own jump over here, ride your jump someday, you come ride. It was just part of it. To be able to become a bigger name professional free rider, you had to be in. And that's what's different, I think, with free riding, action sports, or racing. Because in racing, you could be the most hated dude and you could have no friends and you could go win all the races or do well, and
you're getting paid.
Japan or you know, Oz, they don't care. They're putting you on a factory team and you're getting paid.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, in free riding, there's no contest. So it's networking and, you know, handshake deals, and I'll wear your clothes if you let me ride your spot, and I'll be in, you know. So that was what was different, but yeah.
But as you got to some success, you know, after 17 at the X Games and so on, you definitely kind of like got a little more calculated with jumps that you did.
Yeah, I've always been a good rider because of my racing background and just the time I spent on a bike, you know. I was out riding 3-4 days a week. Every week for, you know, after my dad would get off work, he worked at LoJack in Palmdale or LA, and then they moved to Palmdale with LoJack, and he would come home from work. If it was still light out, closer to summertime, we would go ride up at the top of the hill in Acton, you know, or we'd ride out of the house.
Would he go with you, or he'd just take you?
Yeah. He wouldn't ride. He would just take me. You know, I don't know. He decided he didn't want to ride once I started riding. I don't know why. I'd tell him get on a bike all the time, but that's him. So he, you know, I rode a ton, so I had the bike control, and I've always been a good rider. It was more like planning to be able to make a name for myself is what it was. You get eyeballs watching you, brands start going, hey, I want my brand on you. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So how do you do that? And Instagram was kind of starting to go, but YouTube was established. I was like, I want to make YouTube videos. So, you know, you basically, like I tell my friends all the time, like I pick a goal and then I go for the goal. And until I reach the goal, it's just tunnel vision. And then after the goal, I reassess and I pick another goal and go for that. And that's really like what the success part is that I've had. It was my technique or what I do, because I do the goal and I kind of correlate it with the next goal. So when I'm done with this, you know, so that's kind of what it's been, step after step.
That's like Dana White stuff, dude. Just like that irrational focus and commitment at something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
beelining it towards whatever your goal is. You know?
No distractions, no bullshit. When you got invited, I want to hear how you got invited to X Games. You kind of mentioned it with Link, but you said you were broke going into that. Like,
yep, borrowing money.
Yeah. And that was a life changer for you.
It was.
So tell me about how you got into that, and then about that first X Games.
Well, I knew it would be life. I knew that. So I was on the forefront. I did the big train jump, the Simi Valley one. That Tracy Monterone did it back in 1997, I think. They cover that in On the Pipe 7, the whole story. Tracy Monterone, DJ Swink for LBZ Chromed. Colin Scummy Morrison hit it in 2002. And then Kyle Cat Sanders went for it in like the 2000, whatever time On the Pipe. I went hit that. Those are the types of things you do to make a name for yourself. You know, you pick a big gnarly jump. So I did that, and I was kind of making a name for myself. And then once, I think it was like Monster Energy Cup, they did a quarter pipe contest. Axel won it. But no one had really ridden, and I think he had ridden more than everyone else. They kind of had it fixed like that. he won that. And I think Jared McNeil kind of got close, but it was like his first time riding it too. Well, then X Games said, we're going to make that an X Games. And I don't know if that was because Monster wanted it in there because Hodges had a setup and no one else did. Mm-hmm. Well, then they did it. But what happened, he got hurt, and then I won it with the spikes, right? But that was, once I heard, hey, quarter pipes going into X Games, I'm like, they need riders, right? And I know how to hit a quarter on a bike. I know I can do it on a dirt bike. Militia has one for Wes Agee and Todd Potter. And those guys had one, and I think Link put it in because he likes quarters because he hangs out with Fletchers and skating. Well, I wanted to go to Militia, and I wanted to hit quarter. And then he hit me up, Link did. And it was funny because I was just about to hit him up about hitting the quarter once they announced it. But he hit me up, said, dude, come ride quarter. I did it, got in. I showed that I could go high as hell on the quarter. I made that a point.
When you sent like a video to, back to X Games staff, how high were you going at that time?
It's probably still on my Instagram. I'll have to go look for it. It's back there, but everything everything we're talking about is all right there. BMX, everything. Well, I sent a video out. I went straight up. I went high as hell. It was a dirt landing, slow-moed it. It was probably one of the higher airs higher than I think what like Hodges and McNeil did at Monster Cup. We're right there with them. And I earned my spot, I think, because of that. And when I showed up to the Nitro World Games practice quarter pipe in Paris, which was like a mile from where I was crashing at the house, I went there, and I went higher than everyone there. Everyone was there that day. Hodges, Bierman, and Pastrana high-fived me. And then I was like, I'm in. That was like driving home. Well, that was it. I showed I could show up in front of people, go high as hell in a quarter, and then I got the call, hey, we're going to call you in like 20 minutes, this lady is, and you're getting an X Games invite. And there's a whole YouTube video. I was hanging out with Tyson Films. He was like 13 at the time. And we made a video called like Colby Gets Invited to X Games. And all that stuff's right there. It's like right as I started riding at Militia, practicing quarter, crashing on quarters, and then getting my invite on the phone call. He was in the car when they called. And then showing up to X Games. So that
happened
was
just just within months, huh?
But it was all part of like, I knew I was busting my ass. It was all going that way.
Yeah.
So it was, something was going to happen.
I'm just curious what the height was in 17. Like, what was the height in 17 versus what are you guys at now? 49 feet?
No, it's 56 is what I went last year. So the weird thing about X Games is like they were judging off of the highest point of your bike this year at X Games. So I was doing these crazy whips to get my back end up higher, but they don't measure like skating and BMX. BMX and skating is like the lowest point of your bike or your skateboard or you.
Okay.
And it's from the top of the ramp, the coping.
Yeah.
X Games was measuring from like the floor, I think, one year, and then they were measuring from like the top of the ramp. Then they were measuring from where the ramp turns vert, which is like 5 feet lower than the top of the ramp. And then they were measuring the lowest part of your bike the first year. Then it was the central mass, and then it was the highest point. They tried transponders. That didn't work. So
the numbers are not, you can't really, it's not apples to apples year to year, huh?
No.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to go out and break the official Guinness World Record at my property, Rawville, in November 2024 coming up live, because I want to document a legit Guinness verified record, So that's what I'm going to do. And I have the biggest ramp in the world, and I'm going higher than the record in practice out there. So I know I can do it. Just a matter of getting Guinness out there to document it and doing it right.
Yeah. Awesome. It's insane. I'm going to talk to you more about just doing that, how that feels, because like I watch it and I just think, as a rider, you kind of imagine it in your head, and I feel like I'd get like this. And then you know how like a gyro, like it comes back around?
Yep.
I just think, oh my gosh, I'd get to here and then the back end would start falling on me and I would slam.
Happens to people that are learning it. But, I think like learning a quarter pipe is like you just go out in the hills, find a cliff hit in Ocotillo. You kind of get comfortable. Like I would ride this cliff in Beaumont and learn how to whip. So when it came down to the quarter pipe, it looks crazy because it's metal. But in my head, I'm like, this is just like a hill in Beaumont. I'm just going to go up, throw some body English into it, hit the back brake if I have to, and stomp it. And I teach people how to do it out at Rawville. Like I've taught a couple people. I've taught this kid Noah how to hit it from scratch and from Noah Backen, and he's hitting it really good. I taught Broski how to go higher because he was hitting it at Jared's And I kind of told him about my technique and how to go higher. And then he got 5th out of 6 people at X Games this year. He got invited.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then I worked with Pat the year before on how to go higher and stuff. He did good. So I'm all about helping, like, people if they want to get into it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe ride some Raha ramps for me on the side on your channels or whatever. But all good, man.
I don't want to learn. I'm way
Dude,
too
it's so fun. I'm surprised more people don't do it.
Yeah, well, you got to find young kids. I know too much about how gravity works.
Yeah.
So after you win this gold, and kind of take me through the event. How did your run go? Who was leading? Did you come out and just kind of crush everybody, or?
No, Bierman he figured out how to go really high in practice. Dude's really good at riding, and he figured it out. He's like going straight and whipping it. And in practice, he got some of these crazy high airs. But I knew that I was going to send it. Like, I had nothing to lose. So at the time, I'm like, I'm going for it last run. I'm going to go and do a couple good airs. 3 runs was what it was the first year. And it was like, going to go do a couple airs. My first, second run are going to be high enough to lock in a medal. Because if I go down last run, at least I got a silver or bronze. Sitting in silver last run, just was like, here we go. This is going to be a send it moment. I'm going to huck it, like degaff it. And I went in hot, spinning the tire, going in fast, gave a handful of throttle, aimed just kind of like straight off the ramp, and just hucked it. And then I won. I think it was like by a foot or two. I forget. It was 29 feet. Might have been by a foot. But either way, I stomped it, kind of cased the top of the landing. It was like at the time, it was like no safety deck. The landing was low. It's funny to see how it goes. Now the landings are so big. But anyways, stomped it, won, and man, it felt like a dream. You know when you crash real hard and you hit your head and you think you're dreaming? You get concussed or
Same
something,
thing.
right? I remember when I landed and then they go, my score came in and the medal girl was holding the medal and Bierman was next to me and she was either going to come up to me or him. And she walked straight at me, like locked eyes. And I'm like, whoa, I won my first gold medal, you know? Like I won a gold medal. But since it was a new event, I tried to be like, I had to be kind of humble about it because it was like, it wasn't like a best trick or like a established event.
Right.
And the talk was, since, you know, I was a part of the rowdy crew at the time, the talk was, well, he won this year, but watch next year, you know, like Hodges will be in it next year and he'll win it or whatever. And I had a respectable ride in the next year. I won Real Moto right after that. And then I medaled in Step Up and I took a silver in quarter pipe, but that really showed that I wasn't a one-trick pony or a one-hit wonder. It was like, whoa, this dude can hit Step Up, Real Moto, and quarter. This is an all-around good rider. So that was the second year was like my established year.
Okay. So did you win a gold that year? Sorry, I know you got silver in quarter pipe, but how'd you do in?
The second year was a silver in quarter. I lost to Hodges by a foot, but I make excuses, but I didn't have a place to practice and you know, I wasn't riding a ton of quarter on a good setup, whatever it was. But still, I was stoked on that. It was a bronze in Step Up, which was my first year ever riding Step Up. I didn't even know I was riding. I was an alternate. And then, keep bringing the name up, but Hodges backed out at like 11 p.m. the night before Step Up. So I didn't know I was riding it till I was out celebrating hard as hell. And then I was like, whoa, what time's practice?
Water, please. You're switching to water.
9 a.m.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, I better get a Gatorade and some sleep stuff or whatever. But so it was like the next morning, 9 a.m. practice for Step Up. And then the lip was off. They had it too steep, so everyone was casing it. I got footage of that too. Colby Raha 2018 X Games on my YouTube. Everyone was casing back, like straight frame casing it because the lip was too steep.
Yeah.
It's too steep to shovel it even. Like they needed to take the tractor back in. But we went on at noon. That was the TV broadcast. So it was like, doesn't matter what's going on. So they fix it. And we had a rider meeting. And the rider meeting got dragged out because everyone was tripping. And then next thing you know, I go in there and I hit the thing. Brian Manley's helping me. And he's watching me. And I'm hitting it in second gear, doing practice starts, second gear, feather in the clutch. It was like a 15-foot runway. There's no time. But I was bogging and I couldn't get the heights. So I put in first and I tried it first and it was revved out and I was getting some heights. I only did like 5 runs. And then they go, that's it, no more. We got to set up the banners. We got to bring in the TV guys. That's it. You guys are on in 30. Go back, get a drink of water, and you're on TV. I'm like, damn, I've only hit a step up 5 times.
I don't even know what gear to be in.
5 times. I tried first gear twice, and now I'm on TV. And I'm like, whatever. So I go back, and me and Brian Manley are like, yeah, dude, put on the 51 tooth, because I had a 52. I'm like, at least in first gear, I'll get a little more meat out of a 51. That's all I had. I didn't have like a 49 or anything. Dropped it a gear.
Couldn't go up a gear, so you could pull second?
Yeah, I don't think I had the gearings. I didn't have I didn't have a 53. I just had like a tote box with like whatever it was. It was like 1 gearing. So I go into the live show and we're going up higher and higher and higher. And dude, I did a one-hander. I like almost touched the bar. I thought I was clipping it because I did like a wheelie and I had to pop the clutch to like feather clutch, get the front end down. And then it was like, since I did that, I'm like, oh, I lost my momentum. There's no way I'm making it over the bar. And I just held it wide, and I'm like, I'm just going to do like a one-hander, and like once I hit the bar, I'll just do something entertaining. But I cleared the bar, like did this flat whip, took my hand off, made it over, and then that got me third. And I remember it was like, people were like, first time in this contest pulling a third, huh? Like, what the hell? And I'm like, dude, you don't even know. I didn't even get any practice, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was that, and it was kind of crazy hectic at that time.
That's X Games, right? I mean, I did it 2 or 3 years in Supermoto.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't care about – it's all for TV.
Yep.
Right? Like whatever works for TV. I remember for us, tire warmers were a big deal. You don't want to pull those things off till the last minute. Well, they get us up to the grid. Tire warmers are off. Oh, okay, hold on. Stand by 5 minute. We're going to go to commercial. And I'm like, bro, everybody's running out with generators, trying to wrap the tires again. It's like, God.
Yeah. This year was crazy, too. It's like they wanted to keep moving the ramp around, you know. I guess Bierman had it set up. He rode on like Thursday, and he liked it. And then we show up, and Patrick Evans hit it, and he hadn't ridden quarter. He was practicing whip all year. He cased it real bad, almost went down. He's like, I'm not doing quarter, dude. I'm just going to focus on whip. I mean, as you should. This shit was sweet. But then we get there, and me and Creed are like, oh, we got to move it. So we move it. Hitting it, everyone's cool, whatever. I think me and Creed and a couple other guys were casing the top, Broski and Cole and stuff. We go, we got to move it. We got to go like half a degree steeper, so we set it. Because it's not like BMX. You can't really do a ton on your bike to make you not case. That's what's cool about moto. You hit the thing as hard as you can, and once you have your ramp set up, you're never casing it. You're landing wherever you're landing. But the problem was a couple guys, Bierman and Hodges, were landing real low. And they were landing towards the bottom with their front wheel, and they were getting whiplash. And we were landing perfect. But when they had it where they were landing perfect, we were casing. So it was like tug of war. Well, they finally ended up when I did that thing where Phil got me all pissed off, and I sent it real big. I said, this one's for you, and I went massive. I think the riders were like, well, I don't know. Maybe they were like, hey, we need to move it because of that. I'm not sure. Or maybe, they actually didn't feel safe. But then once they moved it, I didn't feel safe. So then my next practice, I was landing like 6 inches from the top of the knuckle, which is crazy when you're going that high. You're like, I'm going to case in the air.
You just barely get over it.
I felt not very comfortable going into the contest, But it was just.
Can they not go, okay, you guys like it at this degree, these guys like it at this degree, we'll just change it? Is it too long of a process to adjust it?
I mean, if they had like the way I have mine set up with cables with a come along, you can turn it and tension the cable. Like if it's real windy at Rawville and the wind's blowing, it always blows the same direction, which makes you case because it's blowing you into the air where you would land higher on the landing.
So you bring a little more pitch to it.
Yeah, if it's really windy, I'll go over there and I'll crank the tension and I'll tighten the ropes, the metal cables, and then I'm landing perfect. And then if it's not windy, I'm landing low. So I don't know. We'll see. Whatever. It is
tough because like I think some of it has to be your suspension setting, right? If your rebound's a little faster, maybe you'll pop out more.
You would think, but I've tested all that stuff and nothing really matters. Like
really?
You can do your rebound, you can do you can do any kind of settings you want, and when you go into that ramp fast and you smash into the thing, your compression matters because that keeps you from sacking out and bottoming hard. Your forks clicking real hard, all on the takeoff. But the rebound, it doesn't really get a chance to rebound because you're so compressed till you leave the lip.
I guess
it really makes your back wheel go like it kicks out when you leave the lip. So
if you had Supercross suspension versus moto suspension, though, the Supercross stuff would probably stay, like you'd land lower.
It just helps without bottoming out really hard off the lip is all. Like,
but it still doesn't change your landing point.
I don't think rebound has a ton to do. There's nothing like it's once you get your ramp set up right where you like it, you're landing in the same spot. If you switch suspension, like I rode Ronnie Mac's 2-stroke, and I hit the quarter on it and for a video, and it was making me land the same spot as my 450. It was just the suspension felt like shit because it was outdoor suspension.
Okay.
The
Screaming Eagle.
It was, one of those.
All right. Hey, we're going to pick it back up here at 2019. Still lots of stuff here I got to ask you and talk to you about, but we're going to take a little break. This is your Troy Designs Timeout. Stick around. I'm going to be back here with more Colby Raha.
There's a new product on the market that's going to help you with your riding and racing, and it's Elevate Action Sports. If you've not yet gone and checked it out at elevateactionsports.com, it's a collective of riding coaches, the likes of which has never been put together. Grant Langston, Ryan Hughes, Jeff Emick, Johnny Campbell, and myself, David Pingree, bringing all of our years of experience in professional racing to one place with professionally produced videos and all kinds of supporting staff to help you with your mental side of racing, your physical side, your bike setup, your bike maintenance. We cover it all. Get to Elevate Action Sports right now and join the community.
Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and a brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand. When only the highest level of performance is acceptable, trust Pro Circuit.
Since 2009, Seat Concepts has been dedicated to making the best aftermarket seats. More comfort, more grip, more riding. For 10 years, we've continued to raise the bar. Innovation and American craftsmanship make Seat Concepts the world-leading manufacturer of power sports seats.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
Specialized Bicycles. Specialized leads the way in the world of bicycling. Whether it's cross-country racing, downhill, e-bikes, enduro, road, gravel, dual slalom, dirt jumping, or all mountain bikes that do it all, Specialized has the perfect ride for you. The brand is synonymous with engineering excellence and innovation that steers the industry. Visit your local Specialized dealer for a test ride and see just how good Specialized products are.
I try to keep on With a rich history in motocross, ProX has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. Whether you're rebuilding an engine or just need a new chain, ProX Racing Parts aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. ProX has over 9,000 part numbers and over 60 different product types that are manufactured by highly reputable or even OEM suppliers and are offered at affordable prices to help keep riders on the bike instead of in the garage. Visit ProX.com to search parts for your bike or check them out at your favorite online or local dealer.
A lot of us have been talking about the Stasic generation of riders, and you forget how quickly things can change in a sport that is as young as motocross. That's 6-7 years that these bikes have been around training riders. So we have a Stasic generation out on the racetrack. A lot of those riders surely were raised on Stasics, and the skills they show are next level. All the things that coaches have been teaching riders on larger motorcycles for decades, they're doing it younger than ever, and it's hard to believe the Stasic generation is already here.
Welcome back, folks. That was your Troily Designs timeout. Get over to troileydesigns.com and look at all the stuff they've got going right now. Their summer line's out. You need that vented gear. Paint department's cranking, mountain bike stuff, whatever you need. Check those guys out. And I want to also give a quick shout out to our partner, Ketone IQ. This is widely used on the Tour de France. If you guys followed that series any year, but particularly this year, man, pretty much everyone in the peloton's using this. Most moto trainers have their guys on this. The Reed family's all into it. It is just a very clean, no caffeine, no sugar, very simple energy source called ketones that if you do a little research on it, you'll see just keeps your mental focus locked in. If you don't like to eat a lot like I do before I ride, it just gives you sort of a reserve of energy that your body can draw from very easily. Like I said, your body and brain's first kind of preferred energy source. So check out Ketone IQ, and we actually have a 30% off discount code. WTM30, I believe. So check that out. It's in the link in our bio on Instagram if you want to go and find it. Awesome product. Check it out. All right, Colby, let's get back into it, man. So 2019, I want to pick it up from there. You did 4 disciplines again that year. And was 19 one of the COVID years? Or was that 20?
No, we did full on X Games in 2019.
Okay.
2020 was the year that they told us like a month before that it was out.
Okay.
So yeah, 2019 I did best whip, step up, quarter pipe, and real moto.
It was a lot. Is that harder when you're doing 4 to like kind of takes your focus?
Yeah.
Scatters it around a little bit?
I try to just think like, what's my best bet? Is it to spend time with whip, spend time trying to get out to do step up, which is hard to find a place to practice, or is it, focus on real moto that I can win, and then focus on quarter that I can win, and then just have some fun with whip and see what happens. Yeah. And same with step up. So that's what I went with, was just buckle down, train for quarter, do the best I can for real moto. And that was the year, I believe, that I crashed, and I think that was when I got my finger jacked up. Or no, was that the year before? I can't remember, but I won that year though. So I won real moto. And I got second, I think, in quarter pipe. So,
and who won quarter pipe? Axel?
I think it was Creed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Creed won that year.
You mentioned to me too off camera that you do all the editing, or a lot of it. Kind of, you're the final editor. You took some college classes back in the day, and it's kind of something you've really wrapped your arms around. In case at one point if you might have wanted to do it as a career, but now you have creative control of how you want it to look and feel.
Yep.
And man, what a huge advantage I feel like, because if you don't know how to do any editing, you're kind of at the mercy of whoever is, right? Where you can go, no, I want it to like look like this, or time with the music like this, right? You know how you want it, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty sick.
That was a huge thing. It was like I said earlier, if I wasn't riding BMX, I was riding moto, or if I couldn't ride moto, I was riding BMX. And if I couldn't do either of those, I was working construction to learn how to work on, building ramps or fixing things that I might need, which came in clutch later for the real moto stuff. And when I wasn't doing any of those things, I was in high school still, senior year. I took editing class in high school, movie making in high school, which is storyboards and how to structure out a full-on movie and edit. And then I took college classes. I took Final Cut 101, and I took film editing. So it's 2 different electives for college courses at College of the Canyons in Valencia. And so I figured, because if I'm not an athlete, I would know how to edit. I watched so many edits and things all the time growing up. So then those things came in clutch later, because once it was time to start trying to make YouTube videos, I was editing them all myself, making them legit, good quality. Got into Real Moto, and I was working with Tyson on those, and I knew what I wanted. I knew what angles would be cool, and he knew too, and he's a gangster editor, so or filmer and editor. But once I was in the thing, it's like, no, I think we speed ramp that, or we pick this up. And I got bronze the first year. Me and Tyson got bronze the first year, and then I went gold and gold again the next 2 years in a row, Real Moto. And then when it was time for me and Jay to decide if we wanted to make a movie, I said, yeah, I'll help edit it, and I think we can bust it out. And I sure did help do a ton of editing on that movie.
Did you on Narnia?
Yeah, it was just a lot. I switched to Premiere, because I like to use Final Cut for YouTube stuff, because it's not a big project file, if anybody knows about editing. YouTube, Final Cut's so easy to use, but then when you're editing a movie, you need Premiere, which is what if you're getting a job editing most of the time for a company, it's Premiere. So I had to relearn that for Narnia, which was gnarly, but
Completely different, huh? The way those two work.
way different. It's like you can set it up to be similar, but not being able to see the clips and rendering the project files and then dropping a clip and things. The titles are different. The shortcut links, so the slow-mo isn't Command R. It's like Command S or to split. Anyway, it's just all different. So, yeah, editing, though, that came in clutch, man, because
I feel like all the crap you've done, like you did all this random stuff, BMX, construction, you took these classes, but it's like now it's all come to this perfect point where you're using all of it. It's badass, dude. I love it.
Grace of God, man. It all comes together.
Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together.
Hey, it's almost like I planned it all. I don't know, but, yeah.
Okay, so 2020, you only did 2019, or 2020, you only did Real Moto?
2020, I think that we could only do Real Moto because it was COVID.
That was all it was,
we
COVID.
could do it from our houses, so we went out and did Real Moto.
And so weird time for you guys, and a guys who, as an industry that really thrives on X Games, like that's your Super Bowl.
Yep.
Was the money the same? Were you guys taking a hit those years? Like,
no, I had all my deals already locked in. So I had my Rockstar contract. I've been with them now, I think like 6 years. So I've had that. I had my shift deal at the time, and I had some other stuff. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I would say, COVID was a total bummer, but I do miss. Because when you go to the hills, you're social distancing out there anyways, right? So you're not getting in trouble.
Shovel's length.
Yeah. Well, no one was in the hills anyways, because everyone was at home. So the hills were wide open. You get a bunch of Barneys out there. And then there's no traffic. So you just drive down the highway right through LA, not a single car on the road. And then you fly somewhere and, you got your vaccination card stamped all legit. And you show up, and then you get on the plane, no one's there, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, I basically was like, cool. I get on a plane, lay down on the aisles, get to Hawaii, no traffic. You got to do all the bullshit, like going through all the check stuff. But, anyways, it was good for freerider. I don't know if tracks were open, were they? Tracks were all closed.
No.
Yeah,
closed. There was one
we scored.
Cal City. You remember that?
Yeah.
Which is not too far from actually where you're at.
Yeah.
It was the only one open as somebody called in and had them closed down.
Bummer.
Another promoter. Another story. But
Anyways.
So did you have a legit card or was it there's a lot of fake cards?
Dude, I'm a motocross rider. Like, I'm not going to answer that.
Hey, do you want to know what's crazy? So my brother-in-law had a real card. He had to get vaccinated for work. My sister had a fake one.
That's what people say, but you just... Anyways.
Long story. His mom had cancer, and in order for him to see her in the hospital, he had to... Anyway, it was BS.
Makes sense.
My sister had a fake one. My wife and I didn't. We just threw our middle fingers up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I see. I had that thing going, but then I had to show proof of a card. But they were giving out those fake cards like...
For Hawaii, right?
Candy. Well, yeah, Hawaii and X Games. I mean, X Games, it was... Disney owned it. So...
Well, so here's what's funny, right? So as far as anyone knows, my sister and her husband are vaccinated, fully dialed, right? The card's all legit.
Because they have the card, yeah.
My wife and I weren't. We were going on a trip to Japan. We have to go get tested.
Yep.
My whole family tests negative. My sister gets sick, and her husband, both. They have COVID.
Yep.
Legit, like COVID, right? Like, moderate to mild symptoms.
Yep.
But they have the cards. They go right on the plane. They don't, like no big deal. So you let them on with COVID. Like, what the hell are we doing here?
I traded a jersey for a fully dialed card, and it got me through it. And I don't know. Anyway,
well, during
everyone's got their opinions.
During that, I don't want to mix it all up.
Anyone who like races motocross is like over here, but then all the sponsors are owned by
big corps.
Big corps. So it's kind of a different type of a thing.
There was a lot of drama about that.
I don't have an opinion on any of it.
Oh no, of course, me neither.
Okay.
The moto world, it was funny because it was the same thing.
Yep.
You had to have a card or get tested every single weekend.
For Supercross.
Yeah, and if you were a title contender and you came up positive, you're out. You can't race that weekend.
Unbelievable.
So, of course, everyone did fake cards. Everybody. Anyway, there was a lot of drama about it. It's just stupid stuff. Anyway, okay. I want to ask, so then what years did you go down to Axel's place for it? It was 2 years, right? 22, 23 or 21, 22?
So here we are, 2021.
Okay.
I think it was. Or it might have been 20. You got to look. It was 21. So 2021 we go, and then we get the news. X Games, it's on. We're like, hell yeah, let's get back to work. And then they're like, it's at Axel's property. And I'm like, oh my God, of course it is, So I go in there with Factory Husky. And
on one hand, it's like, all right, well, it's cool. We have a place to go do it.
Yeah, I was basically it fired me up. It got me up out of the morning to go kill a gnarly workout and go run, because it was like, okay, like the last time I had a confrontation with this dude was in Norway. I didn't ride because my suspension was all messed up and I couldn't even barely hit the quarter pipe. And I was all the way in Norway, so I just decided I'm not going to ride tonight. Creed won. Axel got second. And at the after party, I swerved on hanging out at the monster party. I actually linked up with some rowdy-ass, like, Norwegian dudes, and they had a whole crew.
Yeah.
And they were with their girls and stuff. And we went to, like, a big airplane hangar, and there on the monster side, all the athletes were, all for the X Games party. And I was hanging out with the locals, and we went straight into this big balcony VIP section. It was all red carpeted, and we had couches, and the beer line was like an hour long. It was the whole place, and that's where you had to go to get beer, whether you were an athlete or not.
Okay.
But these guys were bringing up cases of beer, and we're hanging out, and it was a party. It was an awesome time. I was single at the time. I met these some Norwegian girls, and we're all partying up there, having a good time. And then I seen Axel and his brother going like this at me, and I'm going, are these guys, I'm here to have a good time, and I'm had a few, beverages, and I'm like, are these guys calling me a pussy? Like, is that what they're doing? Or are they telling, I'm like, is there someone? And I kept going back to what I was doing, and I kept looking, and they kept doing it, and they're like this at me, and I'm going, all right, I better. Nowadays I'd be like, all right, you're lame but cool. I would just avoid it, but I was like, I got to see what these guys are trying to tell me.
And you had a little sauce in you too.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to see what's up. Like, what are they trying to tell me? So I go up to him, and Dirt Shark's like, punch him, blue collar boy, punch him, working boy, like trying to mock me or something, and I'm like, you want me to knock your brother out? Is that what you want? He's like, yeah, let's see what you got. And I'm like, and then my boy Adelberg's like, dude, don't. And I'm like, I don't know what's up with it. I'm like, anyways, this is weird. So he goes, dude, just leave it alone. So I did. I bailed on it, went back. And then the lights turn on at the end of the night, and everybody goes outside, and they're outside, and it's a big circle. And I walk out, and it's like everyone's got their phones out, and Axel and his brother, where's this pussy? And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? What are we in, high school? What did I do? You didn't ride quarter pipe. You pussed out. You're scared. I'm like, dude, you don't even understand. I'm going to just, dude, it's stupid, man. Just quit it. And then he ended up kind of getting in my face, and instinctively I had to punch him. So I just kind of jabbed him in the mouth. And then next thing you know, it's this big mosh pit style fight. People are swinging, hitting other people. Creed's mechanic knocked out this one dude. that jumped and tried to like hit Creed, and then it was like this little mini riot kind of thing. And then the homie Gary Johnson, he's like the skater announcer. He was like, bro, security's looking for you, dog. Bail. And I was like, all right. So I went back to my Airbnb. I flew home, and it was this big shit show. It was like, I posted like, hey, you know, since I got second at Monster Cup Dirt Shark Best Whip last year, is it cool if I get invited to go back? Since, you know, I'm sorry I had to punch your brother in the face because you guys tried to crowd around me and like I don't know,
cornered me,
you know, and got in my face. Like I actually didn't even try to, like, instinctively. Anyway, I posted something like that. It blew up, went crazy. It was just a whole viral thing. And then my Instagram gets deleted. And so I'm like, what? And then I go to like Baja 1000 Mexico or whatever, and I come back to do the Real Moto show because I'd won it, but I didn't even have an Instagram account. So like they didn't know who to tag. So I created Colby Raha 1. And then somebody went and created like, I don't know who, but it's like Colby Raha, this, that, Raha, Colby, this, like just like 50 accounts that look like me, like imposter accounts. So I like, dude, I took such a L on that, but X Games was like Colby Raha 1 with like 2 followers, 1 X Games Real Moto. And then I got my account back and stuff. I think I had Rockstar help me or something, but
why did they cancel your account?
There was
there
I don't know if they were just flagging the hell out of me. I don't know. You know, it was a big thing. Like every time the post would get taken down, I would just basically be like, hey, this post got taken down, you know, but I'm still livid. You guys cornered me and did some whack stuff. No one got on film. They had it on film because they had their phones out. They were trying to like film.
Set you up.
They were trying to film him calling me a pussy and then telling me to punch him that I'm scared that I wouldn't on camera. You know what I mean? And once they did that and had their phone, I was like, all right, I'm going to punch him. Then he got it. So anyways, I was set up. So that was lame. But I don't have the footage. So never really, that's what happened though. And then, whatever. That was years ago.
I didn't even hear about that. That's kind of like
that was just something that happened in Norway. And then I got on like a 18-hour flight, flew home. But I won Real Moto that year. That was 2000, whatever the COVID year was, or think that was before
2021 probably.
So that was the last time I saw him. I go to Slayground for X Games, and I hadn't seen him since. You know, so I'm like, this is just crazy. Well, I go there, and I'm so motivated, dude. I was training my ass off. I was going into the ramp so fast and hitting the ramp, going high. I built that landing at Metal Militia, framed it up myself with my boys. And I had the sickest landing. I practiced, and then I show up, and I beat him. It was like my second run. I broke the record, and they were like 5 feet off. They weren't like 5-6 feet off. They weren't even close. And it's all on YouTube. It's the 2021 year. And I didn't even have to one-up my second run. So I wasn't going to, like, one-up my own score. So I just kind of chilled. And then the last run, I did a knack-knack. So it was, like, pretty easy, solid, like, for a 4. Like, I won that one with not even having to go very high.
It's pretty sick when you don't even have to do your last run.
And it was at his property. And then the talk was like, oh, okay, well, you know, you won this year, but I'm not going to let that happen again, you know. And then they got rid of Step Up, and they got rid of Real Moto. So
didn't they did 110s one of those years too?
Yeah, they did 110s, and like, that's just
pretty gay.
Yeah, it was lame. I don't know how that worked out because it was his property, his 110 course that he rides every day, and we got a short practice, and then I feel like I won because I flipped this jump, and then he won, and they didn't give a silver medal. I only did it because I figured I'd get a medal regardless, and I would get the bonus from the companies.
Right.
But anyways, I got second, and then I'm like, yeah, this is stupid. I won quarter pipe that night. That's what mattered. Next year, I said I'm not doing 110 again. That's lame. And then I won that night too. So back-to-back, both years at his property.
What year did you wear the Slayer jersey?
So that was the second year. And I actually went out, and that's when I broke my back, pelvis, couldn't walk for 6 months. I was no weight on either leg for like 6 months. And then I was on crutches for 2. And that's when I built Rawville, when I had nothing going on.
Before that?
Yeah, before. So if it's all in Narnia, it documents the whole thing's like in there. It's like I do this crazy big jump in Narnia first try, and I didn't know how fast to go. I was like 4th gear, and I backside it, and then I just get thrown down the landing, destroy my whole body.
I've seen that crash. Yeah.
Yes. So that happened, and then it was just devastating. Like how messed up I got, and then we had to move all the dirt. It cost us $100,000 because it was in the wrong spot. We got it permitted, but the dirt crew built it in the wrong spot, and we didn't double check them because they're like a licensed crew. Well, anyways, I'm in a chair for that time, and I wasn't really in shape. But then it was sleigh ground 2, so it was like, okay, here we go. And he's ready to. He wasn't gonna let me beat him twice at his property. But then I went in with the Slayer jersey, factory husky. I did all the practicing I could.
I didn't like at first. I didn't get the Slayer jersey, and then I'm like, oh, sleigh ground, Slay. Like,
yeah, it was like
it's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. Dude.
I was like, I'm gonna just go in there and mock him. I'm gonna wear a Slayer because his sleigh ground logo is the same lettering as Slayer. It's just without the ER.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm like, dude, how are you gonna jack a Slayer?
It's only got to be 30% different, and then they can't mess with you.
Whatever. So they anyway. I thought that was the deal. I showed up with that, and then at his property, and then I won. And I knew
when you guys went, it was a good fun to watch because it was like you.
It was.
You had the high one, and then he beat it, and then
yeah. And that was when I was like, all right, dude, that was cool. He was like a good sport about it. He was like, hey man, that was cool. You did a good job. I'm like, likewise. I'm like, we should hang out and ride some bikes sometime. You know, it'd be fun. Come out to my spot, come out to yours. He's like, hell yeah, that'd be cool. So we were like hanging out, but his old man was flipping out the day before when we had practice. He was like, I wanted to move the ramp, and his dad's like, you're not moving that ramp. You don't get to come over here like you own the place and move my ramp. That ramp's been there for 2 years, and flipping out. And he got into it with McCall, and Matt McCall's the ramp guy for X Games. It's this big dramatic thing, and Axel was just like, dude, oh my god, like, and then I won, and then his dad. So that's the thing. His dad's always like tripping out, you know, but whatever, dude.
PH likes the drama. I mean,
I don't get it though. It's like, dude, stay the hell out of it. You're not riding. Like Ventura, he was yelling at me every time I go to hit the ramp, and I'm like, bro, are you gonna stop yelling at me? You're on an electric bike, 80 horsepower. You keep yelling it. And I'm like about to go try to get gnarly in practice. And I'm like, dude, are you done? Like, you done yelling? Like, and then I'm like, you want to ride, Phil? Because you seem like you want to ride. The way you're yelling like you are, like talking shit. So why don't you ride? Because then maybe if you rode, then you would understand how this works. And then you wouldn't yell at people when they're trying to ride, you know?
Yeah.
So I did that, and then that whole thing, whatever. But yep. So then we went to Ventura the year after Sleigh Ground.
Yeah. And so how was it this year? I mean, I know you got second, cool. Creed won.
It was cool. I mean, I was in Hawaii the last 7 months, and I go back all the time, just like once every couple weeks because my son and my wife. Well, I was in Hawaii. I got my shoulder fixed 3 days after X Games. So X Games 2023 in Ventura. That was for the 3-peat factory husky. I did the gold bike, and then I won it. And my shoulder was popping out like 15 times going into X Games. It was like once was like 11 days before X Games. It popped out on the takeoff just from the G-forces of hitting it, and I had to land
with
it
sketchy,
popped
dude.
out.
Yeah,
it was weak. So
you get off the lip and your shoulder's out.
Yeah, and every time it pops out, I can't pop it back in myself. I try for like 45 minutes because I know that if I can't, I got to go to the hospital. But I always try, and I used to be able to do it. But then now, every time, I drive to the hospital, and they have to put me to sleep. So anesthesia, you have to wait. It's like 6 hours waiting for anesthesia team to be there. It's just a nightmare.
They should be able to do propofol.
They did. They would do all the numbing stuff, but it was like my muscles were so tense, and it would still hurt even with the pain meds or whatever they'd give me. So it's like, dude, just, you know, anesthesia, put me to sleep. It was like 15 times last year, you know, because it would happen all the time. Well, then I'm like, okay, I just got to get through X Games. I wasn't even tripping if I didn't win. I was like, dude, I just got to get through X Games. I just found out that my wife was pregnant. So it was like, okay, let's just get through Ventura 2023. I'll do the best I can, but my shoulder pops out all the time on the takeoff, so I'm just going to do what I can. And then I win it. I won it. So that was the 3-peat, and that was unbelievable. I couldn't believe I won that thing. And then so there's a huge payday, stoked, and then we got to do the baby reveal, just me and my wife on the beach. We opened the card because her friend knew the results, and it was and I was cool either one, but it was a boy, and it was just like, man, I just remember I don't break down, but I was like, man, like, I'm so blessed. This is unbelievable, you know, winning that and then that. Then it was time to go in for surgery. It was like the day after. So went in for surgery, fully reconstructed my shoulder. Dr. Greenbaum and Steve Navarro helped me out, getting me lined up with the best doctor. reconstructed my whole shoulder. He said it was gnarly. He said it was like there was nothing left. It looked like a bomb went off. So he said it took forever. I was out for like 5-6 hour surgery. Then I flew out to Hawaii to recover. So I just had the sling, and I didn't ride for like 7 months. So that was
I've heard shoulders are brutal because you can't sleep, you can't lay back. Like,
yeah, it was like, it seems like forever when you have it, but then afterwards it seems like it flew by. I just was out there taking care of her. While basically her whole pregnancy was just me and her. I rented a house on North Shore right on the beach for 7 months, and it was just to try to have a low key, relaxed, good, pregnancy for her and for me to recover.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And then my son was born January 10th, and that went great. Everything was awesome. And then finally my body was back kind of healthy somewhat. And like I was out of shape because I'd been in Hawaii. It rains like 8 days a week. But, well, here and there it does. And there's good days and some rainy days. But anyways, I didn't ride a ton. So I come back.
Well, how long were you off of a bike? I mean, where you couldn't ride? Probably 4 months?
It was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
If I was in California and I had a contest, I would have probably rushed it. But there was no rush. You know, I didn't have any. And Narnia was coming out, so I had a full movie's worth of footage that I was like, I can let this one heal. I'm not going to rush it. So I really took my time, did the right physical therapy. Basically, you can't move it. Like you try, but you just can't because the tendons are so tight. It just feels like someone's like restricting it. So you stretch like for hours a day and just massage it and stuff. But it got fixed. I'm trying to be safe and dialed now, and my body's good. So I almost just from X Games 23 all the way up until recently, I barely rode. It was like a whole year with the Hawaii, the move, and then the coming back, and then getting ready for quarter. I only had enough time to get ready for quarter pipe, so I didn't really ride anything else. But I'm ready to go now. I'm in shape. I was like 195 pounds.
What's your fighting weight? Like 165?
I'm at 165 now. So I shed off all the Hawaii weight.
You had some, I don't know, what's the meals over there? Loco Mocos and.
I didn't know anything about nutrition. I knew about running. So I got into running out there. I ran like 7 miles and stuff. Like I would run all the way to Waimea, jump in the water, swim, and then run all the way back, and I have my Strava. So I logged that, and then we'd go to the gym at Turtle Bay. It's $300 a month because it's North Shore. Everything's expensive. But we'd go there, and she would work out and stuff. I got a lot of cardio and running, but I didn't know anything about nutrition. So if anybody doesn't know anything about that, I would be eating like deep fried sushi with like poke bowls every day with like mayonnaise, and like all this fattening stuff in it. I'm like, oh, it's fresh fish. It's just protein, but it's like dunked in mayonnaise,
Yeah, and fried.
Like sriracha mayonnaise or whatever. But yeah, I did that. Got through. That was just a big thing to get through that. I rented out my house in Colton. Have the back house still sectioned off, so it's like a little studio back there. And I got my shop in my yard. So I came back just trying to get ready for X Games. Her mom lives there, so she's there. My son's just amazing. It's insane, like, seeing him. He's, like, going to be 7 months soon. But he's so cool, man. Like, he's so funny. Like, you basically, like, you hold him, and he'll laugh and stuff. He gets bored real easy, so you constantly have to mess with him. I'd throw him in the air, and, like, he loves it. He laughs. You'll catch him when he's not paying attention, and you'll just kind of do it. And then instead of being like, whoa, he'll just crack up. Like, whoa, you got me. You scare him. He laughs. And I took him into the water. It was kind of cold. And and I dunk him. And, like, I dunk him up to, like, his waist or whatever real quick, and he'd just be like, but he wouldn't cry. He'd just be like, he's just so cool already. I can't wait to just watch him kind of get into it. And Kate's like, well, what if he doesn't want to ride? Like, well, then he doesn't want to ride. But if he's anything like me and my dad, that's all we want to do. And he'll have the option. He can do whatever he wants. But I just can't wait to take him on, like, PW rides out in the desert. Whatever.
It's going to be great.
It'd be fun.
Like, even, with my kids surfing or snow skiing, like, the different stuff, when they pick it up and then they can do it with you.
Yep.
And I look back and they're right there, or they're catching waves with me. I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, seeing him smile when he gives a big old smile, it's like warms my soul. I'm just so happy,
You're
cool.
not even to the sweet spot yet, dude. From 2 to like 13.
Yeah.
That's the window.
Well,
and boys maybe even goes longer, but because then they start to, like, they can talk to you, and I don't know. It just gets better.
I can't wait for him to talk, man, because his face expressions are hilarious. Like, what is he thinking, It's so funny.
That's rad. Any other guys? Well, I guess let's first wrap up the axle thing. Are you guys good now then?
Dude, we're all good. You know what I want to do? I would love to be like, hey, let's do a game of bike at your property and then a game of bike at my property, you know? Or like, let's go head to head and hit my quarter pipe for like a, you know, like a pay-per-view kind of thing, but like maybe subscription style, like, you know, you got to pay to watch it kind of setup.
Yeah.
Or just for my channel and one for his, you know? I think that'd be cool. Me and him get along, like, you know, we hang out and I don't agree with a ton of the random dumb shit that I've had to deal with on like a moto dad or competitive kind of like a whack set like things.
Yeah.
You know, I've kind of mentioned some of them.
Yeah.
I still kind of hold a little grudge over those things because it really does piss me off. I'm just a hardworking broke kid trying to do the best I can, and they're throwing wrenches at me every chance they get. But as far as being like in the spot I'm in, I'm so blessed and like have everything I have going on. I have no hatred in me really at all. It's like I think it'd be fun to hang out, ride, shred, you know, put everything in the past, and then see what we can come up with. Because anytime I've ever competed with him at Imagination, it's funny because I'll do something like I'll throw a bigger whip than him off of like a 200 foot or 180 foot double or whatever. I like whipping on big jumps, but then he would try to one-up me or whatever. Maybe he'd get close, but I could tell I was, like, pushing him, you know, to, like, do something out of his comfort zone. And then I see him do something, and I'm like, well, I wasn't planning on trying to go this big or flip or whatever. I think I flip everything first out of that, just for the record. But, like, I'd see, like, or I'd flip, like, 3 jumps he didn't at Imagination. But I'd see him do, like, a bigger quarter air than me, and then I'd have to kind of be like, all right, like, you know, I'm going to go try to knack it. Or I'd see him do it, whatever. Like, he gets me fired up to go bigger.
Yeah, you guys push each other.
And then I know I do the same, so that's cool. But then you get all the drama with his crew kind of stuff. But we're adults, man. Let's go shred. And I think it'd be cool to challenge him to like a head-to-head contest, something like that for our channels. Yeah. People would love to see it, and I think we can make some cash off of it or whatever.
It'd be pretty sick. Well, you let us know if you guys are going to do it. We'll promote the hell out of it.
Sweet. Yeah, maybe we'll do it on your guys' channel. Who knows?
Well, dude, it'd be cool to do something for charity too, like road to recovery or, you know,
do something cool. Because I think we don't have to just compete once a year. You know, we could compete, like come out to Rawville, have a couple days of practice, and let's see who can pull it off, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd love to, some of his stuff, his setups are so good for the flip to wheelie stuff. Like some of his landings are perfect for wheeling. So like I could do a couple tricks to wheelies over there too. I'd have to build a bigger landing to do them at my spot, which maybe I'll get around to it. But anyways.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Well, we'll stay on top of that.
Cool.
Is there any other like rivalries you have or guys you don't get along with in the sport?
Nah, I avoid rivalries, man. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not really into it like that.
Yeah.
Like even I try to let everything blow over, but then it's just stupid shit happens. So.
What are the 3? I'm just 3 as a random number. The 3 gnarliest things you've ever done. Like could be a distance jump, a whip you did, a trick, whatever.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing that I had to talk myself into doing, one of them was the big step-down crash from my first real moto, where I built this step-down, and it was a huge, massive drop-off, and I thought, looking at it without the bike, it looked doable, and then once I was on the bike, it dawned on me that the thing was so far down that I could barely talk myself into doing it. And I think I'm really good at talking myself into doing crazy shit. I've got that pretty down. But that one was gnarly for me. And that was just ended up in a big wreck. And luckily I only broke my collarbone. And
is that where you kind of sank when you landed?
Yeah, I think if the ground was more packed, I could have rode it out. But I also overjumped the area that we packed. We packed like a 30-foot rectangle where I could land. And I just overjumped it. I hit it first gear, barely giving it any throttle. It was just so straight down and gnarly. So that was the one. The other one, I mean, it's hard to say because I put myself in that position where everything's ready to go. The filmers are there. Everyone's ready. And then it's like time to do it. And it's like some of them are like, I got this. And it's kind of gnarly to talk myself into going for it. But some of them I'm like, whoa, like this could end terrible. I remember jumping the train that I did on the 2-stroke up in the high desert, and that one to me was like, I don't know, it just seemed gnarly. It ended up being easier to clear the gap than I thought, but to talk myself into doing that one was pretty heavy. And then that other train jump I did in Real Moto 2020 with the big kicker ramp with the small runway. It was like a 60-foot runway, and the ramp had so much pop on it, and the landing sucked. And I was like, I think I got it because I practiced seeing how the ramp felt on a different jump, and I was like 80 foot minimal. But the runway, it was dry, and we were all set up, and I was going to go for it regardless. And then we waited for a train, and it took like 6 hours for a train to show up. And we're all sitting there. I'm geared up with my helmet, my goggles, not on, but just ready to go, gloves on, sitting up on the hill waiting for a train. The filmers are there. Everyone's just sitting there.
It's worse than the X Games. You're just like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, that was just brutal. The night before, thinking about doing it. And
is that the one where they kept knocking your jump down and the cops showed up right after you did it or right before you did it? Or was that the other one?
That was Simi Valley.
Oh, it was Simi Valley.
Simi Valley was back in the day when I was like on a stock Kawasaki, bald back tire. And I wanted to jump that to make a name for myself, to get kind of like something to do that people would recognize me. And I went to do it, and that one was kind of gnarly, but I'd seen other people do that one. So I kind of watched and studied videos. I'm like, fourth gear is going to get me over 100 feet, no problem. The jump's like, you can't go too far. So it was like fourth gear, and that one was kind of hectic. But once the train showed up, it's like, you don't have time to think. You got to huck it.
Yeah, put your helmet on and grab fourth gear.
Then I had to go back and hit it again because Jay Schweitzer was making On the Pipe 7, and he documented the train story as one of his segments. And right before the movie came out, I went out and did it with just my homies and our cell phones. And then he's like, dude, the movie's coming out. That just went viral. Now I got to film you. Either the footage sucks, you can't be in the movie, it's cell phone quality. Can you do it again? And I said, yeah, no problem. So I spray painted my bike chrome because Tracy Monterone for LBZ Chrome, he passed away like a few years before. So I did a big homage thing for him. And I wanted everyone to kind of know the history. It was like good homage for him in the movie. It was just something I could do. That was cool. Spray painted my bike chrome, and that was easy. But the cops showed up on that one.
Oh, that's the one they showed up. Okay.
Yeah, they showed up because I was sitting there for like 2 hours, and someone had called.
Okay. But, and they tried to like swerve at you as you were making your run.
Yeah, they tried to block me, and I looped around and just took them on a little detour and pinned it and rode off. So, but yeah, that's a couple of things that come to mind.
And what about the distance jumps? You've done a couple of those, and like. Those just scare the hell out of me. Like when Matto did the football field one in Vegas, all I could think is, dude, what if something goes bad on the bike?
That's the
on the lip, like you're
part.
Done, dude. You're not gonna live.
It's the mechanicals that stress me out, on those. And I love jumping far stuff. I like jumping big stuff. It's like always my style. Like I said earlier with the BMX, it's never like triple bar spins or any of that tail whip 360 stuff. It was always just big jumps, like jump a 25 stair to flat. Like, I don't know, just that's my style. But for moto, I love jumping far. I feel like I excel at distance jumping, and I want to do more of it. I'm actually building a kind of somewhat of a distance jump over time. I'll have it ready at Rawville. But that stuff doesn't scare me really. Like when I was doing them in Narnia, I got back to 311 feet, and it felt comfortable. Everything about it was like, going up to the ramp, you're like 85 miles an hour, and that's how fast it becomes a calculation. It doesn't really have anything to do with like timing.
Right.
It's skill, because if the wind hits you, like I remember the wind hit me in the air when I was like 250 plus feet and some of the jumps before that one. But it hit me, and I had to throw like a mini turn up to straighten it back out. But it was controlled. Nothing got out of control, and I landed it, and felt good. So none of that stuff really scares me. It's just, you're thinking in the back of your mind, you're like, if the chain goes out, somebody in the factory messed that up, or if the pistons, but you got to think, you're like, I'm on a 450 Husqvarna, I'm on a good bike, everything's new, no one's dicked around with the wires, you're like, we're good, you just block that out. But you're always
you have to, right? But like that one kid that died up in the desert, I can't remember his name, but bike had electrical issues right off the limb, remember? And he landed short.
It wasn't on a two-stroke? No.
I think it was a Suzuki 450.
Okay.
Anyway, that stuff scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, bike failures are lame.
When you are up in the air and like, let's say the front end starts to drop or pick up, do your movements have to be really subtle? Like I would imagine even a blip of the throttle, like you know what I mean? You're in the air for so long. Does it have more of an effect than if you're jumping an 80-foot jump?
It does, because you're going 85 miles an hour, you know. And
even your body positioning. Do you have to tuck more? Are you taking your visor off?
It feels like you're going 1,000 because of the wind. You're like, it's just so gnarly when you're hitting the thing. But what's cool is with distances is you push the ramp back. So little by little, you're like, okay, just 20 more feet, 20 more feet, 20 more feet. So you just.
So you got more of those in you down the road, do you think? Like, or do those? But those don't really, for you, in the gnarly stuff, they don't even register.
I enjoy doing those. It's so simple for me. It's like not simple to do the jump, but simple that as far as you don't have to throw a trick or grab this or set your bike. You're just hitting a jump. You got it feels like a video game. You got your clutch, your gas, you're going straight, and you're launching. It's just like simple for your brain to
What's
understand.
the world record right now?
425 foot is the furthest jump of all time. Alex Harville owns that. Rest in peace. He went for he was trying to go for a record up in, was it Washington or Moses Lake? But the first jump is the gnarly one. That's the one that can get you because you don't have any math yet. You got to hit it at the smallest gap you can make it, but you can't push the ramp so close that you backside it because the lip is built for 300 or 400.
Right.
So it's so mellow. So that's why I got messed up, dude. I did something very similar to him, but he came up really short on his first jump because you don't know if you're going to go way past the landing and have like a Seth Enslow OJ kind of thing, or if you're going to come up way short. And you try to error for going too long, but that range could be anywhere. And unfortunately for him, and I did the very similar thing as we erred on coming up short. And it's at the distance, even I think his distance was like 200 to 250 somewhere in there for his first jump, you know. And how do you time that? Like,
so there's you can't break down, okay, at 85 miles an hour I go this many feet with this angle of ramp and then just break it down mathematically.
You can, but when it's a new ramp, you kind of lose your math.
Yeah.
Like I can go back to Reno Fernley Raceway where me and Jay Schweitzer partnered on building the biggest dirt landing on the planet that's sitting out there right now. And that's where I did my 311-foot jump for Narnia because the goal was to prove that I was in the position to break a record, but I want to break it in the movie because there'd be no point. There's no money for that. So it's like, let's set up a live event and go for it later. But the landing's out there, and I can go back there right now and use the same math that we used to go the same distances starting from the smallest gap because we built a chart now. We have the math.
Yeah.
Go 55 miles an hour to go this far. 65 takes you. But on your first jump, you don't know. So you're kind of guessing.
Yeah, that's sketchy. That's really sketchy. Where do you see freestyle, free riding going 10, 15, 20 years down the road? I mean, I think like the progression we've seen, like the tricks get crazier and crazier, and then now it's gone to like a lot more video content, which is kind of what snowboarding did and skating. You know, we've sort of followed their path. Where's it going? I mean, dudes are doing like 3 flips now, and I just at a point where we've kind of maxed that out, right?
Tricks are going to just not just become like it's not gnarly, but it's going to become an acrobat sport. So guys are going to be doing 4 flips, 3 flip with tricks, like in Olympics when you see the skiers doing 5 backflip spins, because they're going to design the ramps like that. But with dirt bikes, the reason why the progression is kind of taking a while is because it's so expensive. You're talking about building an 8-story tall landing. If you have an 8-story tall airbag landing and a 6-story tall takeoff, you could do 10 flips.
Oh.
It's just a matter of who wants to invest in that to see it happen, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's the trick aspect. Then there's the free riding part where I'd like to see these double flips in kind of, I don't know about double flips, but to see the progression in the hills, you know. Taka Higashino does a backflip rock solid in the hills. But the hills have become they're so close to what a freestyle ramp is. It's like a next-gen ramp built in the hills out of dirt. So that's kind of where that's at, tricks in the hills. And then as far as what real moto, for me, I start doing all this different building kicker ramps to do different gaps, to do different things. And that's kind of taken off, but it's also at a weird spot where like the electric bikes are coming in right now. And I think urban street riding is in full effect. A few years ago, it was not that I had done any of that stuff first, because I believe Nathan Fletcher, Link Ogle, the old Militia Poach videos, they were doing that stuff. But it's become so much more normalized, and I've done so much more of it consistently with YouTube and these platforms we have nowadays. And it's just, you know, some rider sees it, they do it immediately as soon as they can after to act like, you know, that's their credit, and that's always a thing. But I think that's going to just keep progressing, you know, street riding. But what I think is what's going to change is now with electric is now I think the next move, which I'd love to be a part of, but it'd be a K1 for moto in a warehouse, arena cross track indoors with no noise complaints. And you're talking doing this in Orange County, Irvine, like in these nicer areas, Newport Beach. It's like you find a place and now you've got all these successful families with money, and you've got these kids with nothing to do except ride their Surons around on these golf courses and get into wreaking havoc. We'll open up a K1 for dirt bikes. And now the sport progresses. Hone your skills in the city where it's a nice area, and then take your truck and your 4-stroke or 2-stroke out to the hills or out to the desert, and you know how to ride a moto because you grew up doing it 5 minutes from your house in Laguna Beach.
I when the electric thing really kind of took a step with the Varg, that was what I was hoping for. I'm like, I hope someone does this eventually.
It's coming. I just think it takes time and money. It's a business. You got to strategize it or it'll fall on its face. And they're, you know, who knows? I know I've got a couple opportunities to do some really big distance records. Stark's interested in having me do one out at our spot. That's the reason why I haven't done it yet. It's not that I'm not ready or ready to send it, but it's that the money and the stars kind of have to align for it to work out. If a company sees potential and value in you breaking a record on their bike, and companies want to get their name out there, you know, then they put their logo on you doing the biggest jump of all time. Then it comes together, and then here's your check. If you know, attempt it, it's yours. And then they pay me what rate I'm requesting to do it, which is a pretty heavy one, but it's for the gnarliest jump of all time, and several people have died doing it. And then there it is. It's on, and I'm going for it. So got opportunities in the future to do some quarter pipe higher stuff on a Stark and also distance stuff. So we'll see if it comes together.
Okay, so we're talking about Stark. There's a lot of haters, dude. Anytime we tested a bike or we post something about, oh, Honda's got this, or just anything at all, man, the comments, you almost got to turn them off, you know?
I get it. You know,
but like, I think two of the most, two very core, authentic guys, like I mentioned, you guys love 2-strokes, you and Pat Evans both. You're both riding them now. And do you guys get that hate? I mean, I do kind of understand it. I can't imagine a world of racing with no engines, you know.
There's a place for it, you know, and I get the hate. I get the reason why the hate, because it's fun to talk smack on a scooter, or it's fun to talk smack on a quad, and you kind of get a kick out of doing it in a way sometimes, right, with your boys. And electric's taking the hit on that because it's so new, and it's considered like it. Motocross is a bunch of diehard core moto heads that are just badass redneck blue collar, and for electric to come into that industry, you're gonna get that, you know. And I think that at the end of the day, what the whole point of it is we're in Southern California, and there's gridlock housing from everywhere you can imagine until we're getting pushed out to the high desert. So different tools for different jobs is the way I say it. You wouldn't ride a gas-powered bike in Laguna Beach in a warehouse, or you wouldn't do it in a speed track raceway in Chino or whatever now, because you're getting noise complaints.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to drive through 3 hours of traffic from the beach to get out into the hills where you won't get noise complaints, then why wouldn't you want to fire up or turn on a badass 450 basically replica with more horsepower, and you can have all the fun you want and practice and be productive, get your kids out of video games and onto electric bikes right by your nice house in Newport Beach instead of driving through traffic. So, and a lot of our moto fans are all out in, Florida or Georgia, where they never heard of a noise complaint. But when you're living in California,
well, and it's coming.
It's on the way. I just think it's fun to talk smack on it. But I think when I post a video on an electric bike with like Leonard Skinner or some badass classic rock or some metal, they don't even realize that it's an electric bike. But when I post a raw video with just the electric audio, the zzz,
they hate it.
People flip out. But, whatever. I ride everything. I ride 2-strokes out in the desert. I ride 450s out in the desert. I ride a Stark in my backyard in the middle of a city 20 minutes from an airport, and my neighbors watch it, and they congratulate me because it's cool, and it's dead silent. So you ride whatever you want.
I just tell people, hey, I didn't want to like it either, and then I wrote it. Yeah. So, save your opinions until you ride one, because it's eye-opening. Yeah. You go, okay, I don't like the quiet either. I do love the sound of a crispy 2-stroke.
Yep.
But when it just comes down to pure fun, it's got it. That bike's a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
It depends. If your wife works in the city and you got to live closer to the beach because that's where your income's, or you work closer to the city, most of us don't. But let's say if my wife gets a job in Irvine, well, then guess who's riding electric bikes to the park and back every day with my son? Me, you know? But I'm not firing up the old 2-stroke, cleaning it out down the street I'm not going to be that neighbor.
I think you said it perfectly. Different tools for different jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a right tool for every job.
You wouldn't bring a gas-powered whatever into someone's house to work on their wall. You would use an electric screw gun. You know what I mean? It's what it is.
Absolutely. What's on the horizon for you, man? Maybe short term and longer term.
YouTubes are coming every week, once a week now. I just filmed 3 of them. So when my editor is done kind of throwing them together and we start getting them straightened out, got some really cool entertaining stuff I've been doing. So that's really a lot of what my time and energy is going into now. So if you guys want to check out some of that stuff, it's just Raha TV on Instagram and the YouTube channel. So Raha TV is my Instagram account. It's actually the account I created when my account got deleted. So it's got 30-something thousand followers since X Games when I won Real Moto with no account. They had to shout out something. So I created an account, and that's what that is. But I changed it to Raha TV now. So I'll be posting my friends. I've got clips of my friends killing it, and I got nowhere to post it. So I'll be putting it on there and then YouTube. Other than that, September, when it starts to cool off, we're out here in the summer. I'm sure it's hot all over the world, but it's hot here. So in September, when it cools off, I'm doing another Rawville show. Me, Mike Metzger, Jason Borowski, and if anybody wants to come ride and help out there and be a part of some of that stuff. I'll have a house out there soon now on the lake. So we'll have a place for the friends to kind of crash and hang out. And I'll have my toy hauler at the camping right there. And doing the Rawville show, September. Come out, and it's a lot of fun. It's family friendly. It's not like a party. We're pretty much done at 9 p.m. So, if you guys want to party, there's a pub in town if you're into that. And
if you want to really party, look for the houses with the upside-down pineapples on them.
Is that it?
I think that was what it was.
And then Raha Fest in November. So that's what's on the near horizon.
We'll help you promote those, man, so keep us in the loop.
Sweet.
Tell me about how you met your wife, how long you guys been together, and kind of how having a kid's changed your lives. You talked a little bit about it.
Yeah. So going from traveling, making money, and being kind of a younger 20s on tour type style, and then met her in Hawaii on the Weed Map thing. And sometimes you meet a girl and you're like, this one I'm going to take serious and date, And that was her. And we were together for a couple years, lived in Temecula, and she had her school. We went through COVID. And then
what was she going to school for?
She was in school to get her bachelor's in psychology, which she went and got her master's in behavioral therapist. And now she's an ABA at a ACEs type place where she works with like kids on the spectrum, autistic stuff, but she's the supervisor there. She's been doing that. So, which is a really cool kind of job. She enjoys it and she's good at it. So that's what she's doing. Well, we got back together and she had to finish her school in Hawaii, or she was in school to get her master's while working. She had to get a certain amount of hours to get her promotion and finish her school. So the whole point of going out to Hawaii was the shoulder recovery. And then she's pregnant, so we did that. So yeah, man, she's awesome. She's a real smart type of person. We're I say like polar opposites, pretty much. We're into the same stuff at the end of the day, but as far as like she's a big school type person and smart and organized and this and that, and I'm like couldn't be more just free for all, like whatever. Yeah. But I am pretty organized as far as like my goals now coming up, and I've done a good job of that up until now. So, but it's fun. I think like since I found out we were having a baby, that was the minute it all kind of hit me to where, you know, you're not like going out to spend $200 at the bar later because you're like thinking, well, I'm probably going to need that for something and I should, you know, conserve. So that's small scale, but then organizing everything like, okay, what's the next step? I bought that property up there on the lake because I think that's a good community for us to be for my son's childhood, you know, and that might change. We might want to be down the hill closer to the beach if he wants to be a skater, BMXer, or if she gets her promotion and wants to be down there, who knows? But at least, you know, buying property, start thinking things like that. I'm getting a good amount of money right now, but I'm putting it into things that I can have for later, you know.
Yeah,
I'll be like
Does she ever get into your head and try to like start analyzing you? And
yeah, she's like a full-blown like a detective or something. But she's
I feel like I'd be like, hey, are you trying to like get out of my mind right now?
She's very into things with what's going on, but then other things she's like whatever, like dirt bikes, you know, like I could tell her the plan with what's coming up and how much, you know, cash here, there, like what we're investing in and things that we're doing and why. And some of that stuff she's like, whatever, I don't really care. But then, you know, other stuff. It's really all about our son now, you know. It's not about us. So it's about providing and doing what's right for what he's going to be wanting to do. And in a nice area where the schools are traditional, the community's, you know, a solid kind of blue-collar style, and everyone's got a razor, quad, dirt bikes. They're all riding.
Yeah.
American flags all over the neighborhood. The schools are like way above average because the teachers live there and they teach the kids. It's kind of got a small hometown feel, like almost not something from California.
Yeah.
But that's, you know.
You're on an island out there. It's like there's nothing for 20 miles in any direction, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Except a lake and a bunch of dirt bike tracks.
Yeah.
So
that's rad, man.
Start making decisions like that, you know, for the kid.
What do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, she likes to surf. She likes to hang out at the beach and shop and do that kind of stuff. And I'm down for that stuff too. But I think when she gets out here, when she was living with me in Temecula, we would go riding dirt bikes. Like we'd go to Beaumont and I'd get her all dialed on a 110 with her gear. And then I'd Jackrabbit Trail. I go, just ride to the bottom and come back. And I'm going to work on this jump, you know. And then there's a track, whatever. So we'd go do that, and she liked it. But I think now that it's a family thing, I'd like to see her on like a TTR 125 when Cannon's on a little PW, and we can go ride as a family trail riding. She likes to be on the lake because she grew up in Florida on the lake with her grandpa, so she'll want to fish with him and go on the boat and take trips, like travel. I'm really trying to do like nothing that involves the city stuff. When you're younger, that's fun, but I'm more like, let's go to Mammoth for the weekend. We'll snowboard, we'll go fishing. So that's kind of where I'm at, low stress stuff, you know, for the son. So
that's rad. Is there anything on your bucket list, like anything you want to do or accomplish before you hang it up?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like the other day is basically I think one thing in the kind of the near future is I'd like to really improve like on what I can do on a bike. I'd like to like do some cool trick stuff and keep just really buckle down and try to innovate some new stuff at Rawville. I've got the spot and I've got some of the ramps to do some cool stuff there. So I've got some plans that I'd like to put together, and then I'd like to start doing some more distance style stuff and like live, you know, at Rawville, like bring your family out and watch me attempt to do this, you know, and I think that sounds good to me, and I'd love to get support from a big company to do some records. Like, I always loved watching Matto do the biggest, gnarliest stunts.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do those, but that comes down to money. And I'm going to be doing them myself pretty much at Rawville at the end of the day, because I probably can pull off some of it, but I'd love to do stuff like that. And
a lot of times, like, you know, Red Bull would pay for Matto's stuff, or Monster would pay for, you know, like when Mets jumped Caesar's Palace, right?
Yep.
It kind of takes a company like that with some pockets and horsepower to pull
Definitely,
it off.
100%. You're talking millions of dollars to do that, you know? Because I'm like, what would a jump at Caesar's Palace, you know, or what would a jump in downtown somewhere cost? And it's, dude, you're talking millions of dollars, you know, because you got to put everybody in hotels that's going to build the ramp for 2 weeks or a week, or you got to have the film crew there, and you got to have the practice, and everyone's got rooms and travel and food, and
that's radical.
It's a big project.
You could do it for cheaper on your own property, but it's still, there's cost to it, whatever structures you have to build.
Well, I build it. I'm not tearing it down after like you would in Vegas. I build it. It's there, permanent. I own it, and then it's all profit for me. You know, if 20 people show up, well, I'm making profit. If 2,000 people show up, I'm gonna be hooking up the homies, and we're gonna be making some money. So
yeah, sweet. Well, I don't imagine you want to give away exactly what those things are, but keep us posted again on that.
Yep.
When you're done, you know, competing, what do you think you'll do? Like, what do you see yourself post competition stuff? What do you think you'll do? Like, what other stuff interests you? And will you still ride? Sounds like I already know the answer to that.
No, I'll be riding forever as long as I can. And I think I'd like to just see where it goes. Like, I try to think into the future, but I'm also like, let's just keep kind of short-term goals and just see where it leads. I think I have the potential to break some serious records, and I think that I'm kind of aiming towards doing that. And then it's not, you know, at some point it'll be more about, you know, my son, or who knows if we'll have more kids, or who knows what. But moto, I think, and construction stuff, and man, I always am like kidding around. I'm like, dude, I could go get a job, you know, operating equipment, or I could go get my contractor's license and build some houses and make more money than I'm making now, or who knows, maybe not right now, but I can make some money doing that. So I don't know if I want to get back into doing that later on. It comes down to your body, you know, like what can your body handle? And and that's like the more bigger stuff I'm going for, sometimes the bigger wrecks I have. I'm just going to let it cruise, but keep buying properties, and I have all the skills to fix houses and make them nicer, not flip them, but I'd like to rent them.
Yeah.
And then just become a property manager and watch my son have a good time at whatever he wants to do.
That's awesome. That's a good plan, dude. Well, our last question we always ask all our guests is how you want to be remembered in this sport, kind of a legacy question.
Somewhere between an Evel Knievel, like a Matto style dude, and like a, you know, a Metzger and a Linkogle. I think those four guys are like the best to do it, and for their own purposes, you know, like for their own styles. But I think, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, I try not to think what people are thinking of me. I just try to do the biggest, most respectable thing I can on a bike constantly. And I think that, you know, I think that it's all positive. So whatever people are thinking of me, hopefully it's a positive one. And that's up to them to decide, you know. I'm just doing what I can do.
Well, yeah, dude, you do that stuff. Like, you keep that focus. The legacy will take care of itself, right?
Yeah, that's it. Because I'm not trying to put something out there to, like, make people think a certain way of me. I'm just doing positive things as much as fast as and the best I can. And I think in the future I got some cool stuff figured out that will keep adding to whatever legacy I've created. And we'll just see where it goes, you know.
Yeah, that's rad, dude. Well, I can't wait to see what's next for you, man. And like I said at the start of the show, like, you're just so authentic. You're just like who you are. And some of the other guys especially in the FMX freestyle world, that I know they're putting on an act, and I get it, but it bugs me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, just be yourself. And if that's not interesting enough,
Yep.
I don't know. Work
I
on
agree.
yourself.
I
Like, you're
agree.
just you, and it works, dude. It's freaking great.
Thank you.
So I'm stoked. Thank you so much for coming on this show, dude. I know it takes a while, and I appreciate the time, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. Big fan of you guys as well, and the stuff you're putting out. And remember talking with my dad, man. They need to get David Pingree back in the booth for outdoors and stuff, man. Because I'm like, I watch Moto all the time, and some stuff announcing wise, you Langston and you know and these guys. I think it was funny. I always bring it up. You used to call Snack Pack, man. You called Zach Osborne Snack Pack because he was heavier.
He doesn't like that.
But what an awesome dude though, and for him to put in the work he did and win. I just think I like humor, you know.
Yeah.
We liked the Greg Barbacobi back in the day when he would announce.
Yeah.
Guy would go down and in the heat race he'd go, "That guy just ate a hay bale," and then he'd come back in the LCQ and he goes, "And he got the whole shot. He still got hay stuck in his teeth," you know. It's funny stuff. It's supposed to be fun. So
we need to laugh more and be able to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Dude, awesome to have you on here. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Stick around. We'll be back to wrap up the show. All right. Big thank you to Colby Raha for coming in today. What a great story, man. Like, this kid's complete story isn't written yet, but to just go through what he's accomplished up to this point in 2024, pretty impressive. And I don't know what struck you guys, but just he doesn't put on an act or try to be something he's not. He just is who he is, and he's a very, very hard worker, very focused, very driven. And I just respect that a lot. I can't imagine working 22 hours a day just to save money to go spend it all winter digging jumps for other people. A lot of perseverance, man. Just really, really have a lot of respect for Colby. Great dude. Hope you guys appreciated that show, and keep an eye on him and what he's got coming up, because some pretty cool stuff he shared with us off camera that he doesn't want to talk about. Some of his projects that are coming up. Going to be pretty cool. And as always, please support these folks you see right behind me here. Yamaha is obviously our title sponsor, and we couldn't bring you these shows without these folks. They make this possible. So Nihilo Concepts, Troy Designs, SKDA, Dunlop, Rockwell, Pro Circuit, Stasic, Seat Concepts, Pro X, Specialized, Ketone, all these guys. Check them out, please. Rockwell, one of our newer partners. If you guys are in the market for watches, glasses, they got casual clothing and some more things to come. Check them out. Great company. Thank you guys so much for supporting what we do. We got a lot of great shows coming up, so stick around. Keep an eye out for those. Follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast so you'll get notified when we got new shows out. We'll see you guys next time.
Yamaha is the industry leader in two-wheeled fun and performance. Celebrating 50 years of YZ in 2024, the Blue Crew is still dominating shootouts and competitions. Yamaha, revs your heart.
Troy Lee Designs is the leader in off-road motocross apparel and style. So whether you're looking for a cool new paint job for your helmet, maybe your name and number on your helmet lettered on, you're looking for new gear, you're looking for mountain bike gear, off-road gear. They've got the brand new Scout line and GP and SE models. Troy Lee Designs has it all. They've been leading this industry for decades, and they're going to continue to do it. Check out TroyLeeDesigns.com. SKDA is a moto graphics and seat covers company with several offices based around the globe. For too long, bikes and graphics have all looked the same. They just start to blend together. SKDA is working to change that. With super clean and unique design work, a bike with SKDA graphics stands out in a crowd and adds a touch of art to the world of moto. Hey, we need that. SKDA prides itself on providing premium customer service both before and after the sale is made. Visit SKDA online to view the current product range and get in touch with their team to get your bike refreshed. I want to just make a mention here that these guys, not only is their design way outside the box, very, very cool, they'll work with you on custom things. The products are incredible. Okay, they'll speak for themselves. But what's really awesome, and you'll notice this the minute you order one of these, man, they give you an email saying, hey, the product's been shipped. Hey, the product is here. It landed in this spot. Hey, it's coming today. Hey, your product's been delivered. They just so good about staying in touch with you and letting you know where it's at. Customer service is 100%, and that's just something that's rare these days. Check out SKDA. Here at the Whiskey Throttle Show, we're all about supporting brands that support our sport. And there's one tire company that has never walked away from the sport of motocross and supercross, and it's Dunlop. When times got tough and the economy took a crash, Dunlop stepped up and stayed with our sport to support it and the athletes and individuals that love it. Their MX53 line and MX33 lines absolutely dominate this sport. Every national championship at the pro level has been won in the last decade, and nearly every single amateur national championship at Loretta Lynn's has been won on a Dunlop. So if you're looking for high performance, you're looking for amazing quality, and you're looking to support a brand that never turns its back on our sport, there's only one choice for you, and it's Dunlop. Pro Circuit is the leader in aftermarket performance and quality. Whether you're looking for a little more horsepower out of your engine, some quality hard parts to improve the way your bike feels and looks, better handling through suspension or linkage arms, Pro Circuit is where you need to stop. It's your one-stop shop. You can go in there and get everything you need to make your motorcycle go from average to exceptional. Pro Circuit's got enough number one plates on their wall to side an entire home, and there's a reason for that. They're very, very good at what they do. The highest quality products with one goal in mind, and that's winning. Check out ProCircuit.com. Nihilo Concepts is leading the way in aftermarket hard parts. With their secondary on-switch device, something that was much needed in this sport, they've been innovating and bringing new products to market. Their latest is the new Nihilo Run Cool brake pistons. They're designed to be stronger than stock and provide exceptional cooling performance with less brake drag. Most OEM calipers pistons are made from aluminum that just can't hold up to the heat and extreme demands of serious racing. When they get hot, the aluminum will distort, causing loss of hydraulic pressure and brake failure. Nihilo's Run Cool pistons limit the area that boiling hot hydraulic fluid is able to come in contact with the piston, leaving 2/3 of the piston volume in open air with breather holes to enhance the cooling ability. It's made of a proprietary stainless blend, which is better at dissipating heat. You have issues with brake fade or brake failure, check out Nihilo Concepts among their many amazing hard parts and carbon fiber parts and titanium. NihiloConcepts.com. Seat Concepts is the leader in motorcycle saddles. If you're looking for a new cover or a new seat entirely, Seat Concepts is the place to go. They make custom seat foams catered to your height, weight, riding ability, riding type. They also have waterproof covers and foams that will not break down if you ride in a lot of inclement weather. And they pride themselves on being much more comfortable than OEM or any other aftermarket company. If you're looking for a new seat or a new cover, Seat Concepts, there's nothing better. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than Pro-X. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, Pro-X makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the Polaris RZR 800s. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than Pro-X. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, Pro-X makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the... If you've got a little Grom that's looking to get started in the motorcycle world, the best way to get them going is on a Stasic bike. They've got multiple sizes, so from your very young Groms to those who are a little more grown up, you can start them safely. They've got controls that allow you to control the speed so he can't get going too quick. They can touch the ground. There's not a lot of noise to distract them. It's the perfect way to get your child involved in motorcycling at a very young age. And if you've got a kid who's already out ripping, there's series popping up all over. For those of you in Southern California, go to www.ameminicross.com and join their local series. If you're outside of this state, contact your local track and ask them about starting a Stasic class at your local track. Get over to Stasic.com and check out all they've got going on. And finally, last but not least, Specialized Bicycles. If you are in the market to start pedaling, this is where you want to start. They've got great entry-level bikes all the way up to the Cadillac, the new Levo e-bike, anything in between, man. It doesn't matter what kind of riding you're doing. Go check out and start with Specialized. Don't waste your time on something that's going to break. The derailler's not going to shift after a couple months. Get something quality. These guys make it. Specialized leads that industry.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Whiskey Throttle Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when new shows go up. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And visit whiskeythrottlemedia.com for additional content.